So I'm here to say that there's another way in sport because while it happens in the economies and that kind of thing, sport doesn't work unless every team is competitive. The value of each game it goes up, grows, improves if every game is competitive and people actually can't predict the winner. So every game becomes a feature. Look at what rugby has done.
Sure.
And that just tells you that if you take a different approach, then this thing can really grow. And today we're 104 members. Why are we only 104 and not 200? So that's from the perspective I'm coming in.
No, indeed, and the concentration of power into three countries, almost India as the new imperialist, that's my words, not yours, have created a situation where it's not actually fair competition amongst the international test-playing countries for a start. So everyone wants to see uncertainty, don't they? In fact, what you're saying mirrors what Johnny Grave has been saying, the chief executive of West Indies, who also very passionate on this point that West Indies is not being fairly treated, all the nations are not being fairly treated, and it's time to address that because cricket now more than ever after the pandemic needs solidarity. Are there any differences between what you're saying and Johnny Grave? You sound like you're very much on the same page.
I wrote a number of papers that were presented to the ICC at that time, which mirrors those. So the ICC as a body is well aware of those concerns.
Why therefore?
That were written to that effect.
So why is it then, Dave, that that there's some doubt as to whether Cricket West Indies will support your candidacy, given the importance of having a West Indian at the head of world cricket? But why is it that, I mean, Dr. Fallow, the Vice President, on Mason Guests on radio in Barbados, said that if it's left to him, he would not support you, and I found that surprising. That Cricket West Indies would not want a West Indian in that position, particularly one who's been working so recently for the benefit of West Indies.
Well, I will leave you to answer that one. I can't actually, I don't want to get into that. I would be surprised if Cricket West Indies didn't support the nomination. Just be a basis that was just spoken about.
Well, it seems certainly important that West Indies cricket gets a voice at that top table. I'm sure everyone would agree with that. And what interests me is that the new regime under President Skerritt has made it clear its preference for West Indian coaches. Indeed, Toby Radford was let go, that reason. Batting coach. So regional coaches. So therefore, why not a West Indian? Why not a West Indian chairman? I see.
I've answered your question.
Dave, you're a controversial figure in many people's eyes. Are those people got you wrong? People call you arrogant. Is that something that you recognise? And would you have done anything differently if you were president next time?
Well, the arrogant label came before I even became chairman, because I think it was the issue arose in my mind. Because I challenged for the position of presidency of the West Indies. So if you go back to history, no time was there ever an election, so to speak, of West Indies cricket. It used to be a selection. And I was selected months before Dr. Hunt decided that he wanted to remain after he said he was going to leave. And so we had an election. I think that tag came from there because how dare me, a young man, etc. challenge to be president.
What would you say to
people? So the tag came around that because I am seated on Dr. Jordan from St. Lucia, and so challenges started to arise. So it's but my challenge to Dr. Hunt at the time, Julia, was more around similar concerns now, is that we're not going anywhere very fast, in that we were not tackling the issues squarely. commercial, financial part of the business. And so unless you deal with that, there's no way you can play cricket.
Yeah.
Because and that had to be dealt with, and we weren't paying enough attention to that. So I clearly said to my doctor, unfortunately, I'm not going to sit here anymore as vice president. So either I become the president or I'm gone, and I'm comfortable with that. So hence my challenge. And so from that, it has become I'm a little forward and so on and so forth. Because and everybody who interview the ICC tell you I'm probably one of the most vocal ones in the boardroom. Again, it's not personal. I'm sorry if I come across a little aggressive, but it's Jamaican nature. It's how we speak. And if you hear Jamaicans speaking in anywhere, you probably believe that they're fighting. But we're really just talking on top of each other, and then we have a drink. It's not personal. So we don't understand the Jamaican culture. You term it as different things. We're very proud people. I went to one of the greatest high schools institutions in the world, called Kingston College. We're leading sports school in Jamaica. And academics as well. And so it's a very rich tradition. We're very proud of it. So if my proudness and the fact that I believe in what I'm doing comes across as arrogance, then I apologize. It's very difficult to change my personality.
Those people who question your leadership, would say that your relationship with, certain players could have been improved. Do you think, in retrospect, do you regret any of those particular spats during your time as president, the likes of Darren Bravo?
I would like you to retract that statement because I never had any spat with any player.
Okay.
Players had spat with me.
Right.
So let's be very clear about that.
Yeah.
You've never heard me in any forum say anything about the players. The players had an issue with the structure that we changed. And we tried to speak to them, get them to understand. We had a forum in Miami with the players, with Webel after we came to an impasse. And the players still decided that they were not going to play structure because they had to play domestically to be recognized. And they decided not to play. It's not a spot. It was the regulation. You don't want to play. You don't want to play.
That was the situation.
And you're running a business, David. You do what you call risk management. Now you may not know this, but I, Dave Cameron, doing Bravo, played for Michael in Jamaica before he was a superstar. Wherever Hines invited him to come and play for Kensington. I'm still the president of Kensington today. He's a member of Kensington. He came to Kensington. We put him up, and that's where he started to show value. That's after when he got selected to the West Indies team. So doing Bravo is somebody I know before West Indies cricket. He was put forward to be the captain, and I supported him. And I started with himself and Jason Ward, Darren Sapp, with Weber in Trinidad at the Hyatt for about an hour one day, explaining to them what I'm trying to bring to West Indies cricket. You have a challenge, pick up the phone, you call me. You don't even have to be formal. I mean, everybody have a number. Speak to me about the challenges and let's work them out. When we went back in India, I didn't know about it until the same time as the press. I got a letter, and in that letter, I still have a copy of it. Was that if I don't agree to terms, he was going to bring West Indies cricket to its knees as they've done before. That was what was written in that letter. Not a phone call, not a WhatsApp. And by the way, WhatsApp me twice on his way to India about other things. So that's really
could have been mentioned there.
Cultivated with them. It was not. I didn't come into office and become aloof. As a matter of fact, I went out of my way. My brother, I took them, the players. We went on a familiarization trip to Florida, which I was chastised about again. But that was my way of saying I wanted to create a different kind of organization where president somebody or see and speak to, interact with. And so I went on the bus with them. I went to Florida, I went to SeaWorld. I played football with them. I played cricket, shot basketball, because I wanted them to see that I'm only part of the team. I'm happy to be the leader, but I'm part of it.
That much publicised, Dave. That much publicised players' strike. You had to. You were there consequences of that strike during the India tour. India, at one stage, threatening the very financial existence of West Indies cricket, threatening to sue them because of the loss of that series. Now, how did you fix that? Because you're the person who ended up having to sort that out with the Indian cricket.
Absolutely. Well, my fortunes. I got Shashank Manohar, just chairman who just demitted office. As the chairman of the DCCI. And I met with him, explained what had gone on, and offered solutions. And to my surprise, he agreed. And that's how we were able to solve it. So we played some games with India in the US. We went back to India in our off season, and we were able to make it up. And so Shashank was a very big help in that. And I can't tell him thanks enough for that support. And in that time, India has visited the Caribbean more than any other time in the history of West Indies cricket because of the relationship I built up with the Indian cricket board and its officials.
Thanks for clarifying that, David. I'm not sure that a lot of people know the background as to how you sorted out that was a precarious situation. So finally, looking at this potential chairmanship of ICC, what would you say to people about why is it important, maybe to have a West Indian, someone from a smaller nation, not Big Three, at the helm? Because you've got Colin Graves from the ECB, he's the likely contender. Colin Graves, a man who's quite controversial in the UK, putting forward the 100 competition. A lot of fans have got some issues with. Not known for his support of Test cricket. So would you say there's a difference between you and Colin Graves on how you see the future of Test cricket?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a difference in view as to how I see Test cricket. And so David, you may disagree with me on this, but I don't believe every full member country, every country should be forced to play Test cricket. I think Test cricket is a very expensive venture to host. And when you have teams like Ireland and Afghanistan attempting to play Test cricket, and the game finishing in 3 days, it demoralizes the entire team and the country on their journey. And so I think that should be an evolution when you get to a certain point that you now start playing Test cricket. But all of these teams I just mentioned, Ireland and Afghanistan, are very good white ball teams. And so we need to find a structure where they can thrive and grow, but at the same time preserve Test cricket for those who can afford to play the wonderful game.
So those neutrals, why would it be better to have you as chairman of the ICC than say Colin Graves from the ECB? Where the differences in distribution of revenue and growing revenue?
Well, exactly. So on the distribution of revenue, you know my part. Like I said, I spearheaded a strategic working group trying to look at that. So that's well documented at the ICC. Everybody knows my views on that. But also because of the Jamaicanness and my personality and Caribbeanness, I am probably one director. Everybody will tell you that had drinks, had dinner, lunch, breakfast with pretty much all the directors, irrespective of color, class, creed, at the ICC. And so I believe that I can actually bring everybody on board to work with this vision, to work forward better than anybody else at this point.
Dave Cameron, thanks very much for your time today, and very best of luck with your plans in the future.
One love, David. It's been a pleasure talking to you. All the best.
Thanks very much, Dave.
And we're back. Oh, but you can't see me. Hello, Tone. Hello, Mash. How are you feeling?
Should we let's ask Mash that question.
That's cruel.
He's got a great big bag that something is in, but we're not quite sure what it is, or indeed which bag.
It's his lunch.
It's his lunch. He's very quiet. He's still on mute.
Still on mute, Mash.
Well, then I will jump in because this game's far from over. We've seen Roston Chase's a dogged character. Roston the uncomplicated. Oh God, we've christened him. And you know what? I think the weather's going to brighten up a wee bit. I think it was very leaden skies this morning. Losing 3 wickets, of course, is not great for the West Indies after what a phenomenal morning we had. But it's within their power to save this game.
Mash, you go, and
they
then
will
I'll
be
go.
doing everything they can to do it. Mash, you're with us.
Yeah, I'm here.
Your thoughts?
It's England's game to lose from here. Any West Indian top order collapse is of no surprise to me when it happens. So I'm not going to be too downhearted about it. Campbell was always going to get out. Brathwaite being out's a problem. Pope was always going to get out. He's in horrendous form. West Indies back down to 8 with Jason Holder, so it would be foolish to just assume the game's already over.
Yep.
So what is it? Roston, Shamar Brooks, Jermaine Blackwood, Shane Dowrich, Jason Holder. Listen, all of them can bat. So there's still plenty for England to do, but you would assume, given the fact the pitch is going up and down, fewer grubbing on the floor, spin hasn't even come into the equation yet. Is it harsh to say it's England's to lose? I don't know.
I don't know if it's England's to lose. England's to draw.
It's a draw, sorry.
But I mean, there's a bit of that. I mean, it's easy to say we've got 3 down, but the key is the new ball here. I think we need another reasonably 2 quick breakthroughs, and then I think the pressure would tell. Even though you do back down at 8, that'd be your last recognised batsman, and it'll be a long time to stick in. But going back to the last test, they were in a similar position and then batting out the rest of the day. It had a wonderful afternoon session. The pitch went a bit dead. The ball got a little bit softer. It became easier to bat, and they, got through that afternoon session without losing another wicket, and then went on to win the game. This time they got to save it, so there's a little bit of different pressure. Last time they were going for the win, and they could always shut up shop and not lose. Yeah, they were exactly. It's all about what England do with this. The ball's only 8 overs old, so you've got another 12 overs to get another 2 wickets and really put the cat amongst the pigeons, I reckon.
Well, the England team are taking the field, led of course by Captain Joe Root. I can tell you WinViz currently has England at 74%, the draw at 26%. And for those of you that can add 74 and 26, you will realise that they've got West Indies at 0%. Well, for the win. But I think that's probably accurate. But
I'll give you the bookies odds.
The draw.
The bookies odds are always quite intuitive, aren't they? I mean, I put on England to win last night at 13-8, and I looked before lunch, and they were into 11-2 on. So the bookies have England winning. The draw gone out to it's 10-3. Which is
well, let's just remind you quickly the match situation. 569 for 9 to declare. England were 176 in very little time at all. Sorry, that's in the first innings. What am I talking about? England did declare this morning, and West Indies' target now at 25 for 3 is 312. I think we're saying that's probably a nominal target. Shall we jingle up there the 2 openers?
They're not openers anymore, but the people coming out to open batsmen.
We're going to 2 lunchtime batsmen.
We're going to have the bowler first because I think it's this man.
Okie doke.
He's on Instagram and he's a Twitter fan. On the Ashes tour, not Ben Stokes, but he'll have to do.
And we have a couple of batsmen. We got this man.
Roston Chase.
this man. Oh.
No, yes.
No, it doesn't work, does it? Fucking stupid machine. When you take down the volume of one, it takes down the volume of the other. Damn, I was going to mix it and be all cool, yeah? But it didn't happen. So the other batsman is this man.
DJ Berry Bear.
Who's coming up next? And is he any good? Well, he's not bad. Shamar, you know him. Not really. He ain't bad. He ain't bad. Who? Shamar, you know him. Shamar Brooks.
Oh, Wokes, who's bowling from the Statham end, is going to be into his work. 3 slips go down left, outside of off stump through to Butler, and a fairly uneventful start to the afternoon's proceedings. 25-4-3. Brooks on 2. 5 balls he's faced, and Roston Chase in his uncomplicated, solid, dependable way. Still on 0, but 9 balls faced, and Mash every ball, every dot ball still of huge value as in comes Wokes, and this one is cut, but cut to backward point, no run. Sorry, Mash, every dot ball still of value to the West Indies here.
Yeah, I'm looking for at least 73.4 more overs of dot ball.
Well, we're in the Mash school of the way the afternoon's going to go. You're in for an absolutely riveting afternoon. I suspect England fans may be hoping for somewhat more. We're in the 12th over, just 2 balls of that gone, bowled by Chris Wokes, so there's still plenty of newness on that Duke ball. As in comes Wokes, that straightens up a little bit, but nicely played by Brooks away to the offside. He was solidly behind that, Mash. Looked untroubled.
Brooks, Brathwaite's out, but in many ways, Brooks and Chase have shown throughout the series that they possibly have the best technique to deal with conditions. So, as much as getting Brathwaite out was important, probably getting these 2 out is just it. If these 2 ideally,
In comes Wokes again. Once again, very solid is Shamar Brooks, and there's no run.
I think these 2 are looking to bat as deep into this session as they possibly can. You have to assume, like I tweeted after Brathwaite was out, that Dowrich and Holder better get into the nets and get ready because they're going to be batting. They're going to be batting at some point today. So these 2, each pair just needs to take it as deep as they possibly can.
Well, they can.
Well, they do. That's the only way. Sorry, Bear.
I was going to say England need to get 3 wickets minimum this session, don't they?
Wokes is in again. Full driven through point, and I don't think there is some man chasing that, but it's one of those chases that you know he's not going to win. I think it's is it Liam Dawson? Well, it's Liam Dawson. It's not Liam Dawson, is it? It's Dominic West, but it's still 4.
It's me, Sanshi. It's me, Sanshi.
It must have been the forlorn, somewhat hopeless way he jogged after it that somehow confused me as to who it was. Lovely shot. It took his hand off the bat though, which would suggest he wasn't in full control, but he certainly kept it down. And it's 4 more to that West Indies total as Wokes once more is in, and that one again is just played nicely down. Point dives after it, and has he hurt himself there? That is our friend Dominic Bess, and he seemed to throw that away in a rather disgruntled fashion.
I think he might have landed on it under his chest.
Yeah, I think so. 30 for 3 anyway. It concludes that first Wokes over after lunch. We already, in fact, a physio is jogging on. Now I wonder if that is for Dominic Bess, who seemed to fall awkwardly, and that will do England no good at all.
No, that was just the man. That was the helmet man.
Oh, was it? The helmet man.
He was bringing on the helmet.
Is that some kind of superhero that
Man, I wonder what he looked like.
not met before? What would he be good at? Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, 30 for 3. Well, who else really
of course
would be taking the ball now other than this man?
What would make Broad walk?
If his stumps were knocked down,
What would make Broad walk?
caught 5 feet off the ground.
What would make Broad walk?
If he trod on his
What
stumps,
would make Broad walk?
if God was one of the
What
arms,
would make Broad walk?
Broad walk.
What Broad?
Bowling he is, of course, from the Anderson end. In the absence of the eponymous Mr. Anderson, who has got his feet up for this one. He's in left with a big high leave from Shamal Brooks, who is probably thinking to himself, you can bowl them like that all day, Stuart, I'll be happy as you like.
So Stuart Broad, well within his rights to complain last test, or should have just realised he was being rested for the greater good?
Well, I think both is the answer.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ben.
I mean, it'd be interesting, isn't it? I mean, if say they win this today, do you go into the last test? You go, right, okay, we've been fiddling around. Now we're going to go back to our potent attack.
I'll answer that in a second. That one, does that take an edge? It swings past Brooks. He wafts the bat. He doesn't get an edge. Both slips, or two of the slips, were up, but in a way that suggests they were sort of halfway through jumping up when they realised that there was nothing to jump up for.
Ooh, he was tempted there, wasn't he?
He had a real fish. The rod was out. The hook was dangled, but there was no nibble, and it was through to Joss Butler. You can see frustration etched on the face of Joe Root there at first slip, as the head-banded samurai warrior that is Stuart Broad is in full, and nicely played. Dropped the bat on it nicely, guided it into the offside. There won't be a run.
Yeah.
30-3.
So say England win here, do they go into the next match at Anderson and Broad?
Well, for my money, I think they do with Jofra Archer, and then they look at how they permutate a number of choices around that.
Yeah, that's what I'd have gone.
I'm not Ashley Giles. As Broad is in again, full driven straight. But he doesn't really get all of that. In fact, Stuart Broad, I think, may just have dropped a hand on that, and Chris Wokes is able to come round from mid-on and prevent too much damage. In fact, prevent any damage. 30-3, still the score.
Yeah, because I meant to say in the first session when I was last on with you, Bear, that there's an argument to say that these three have been better than the bowlers in the first test. So Wokes and Curran would be well within their right to say, well, why are we getting dropped?
Well, yeah, different ground as well, though.
Good question. As three slips go down, and that's wide of the off stump. It's left by Brooks. It's through to Butler.
I'd have fancied if Jimmy Anderson had been bowling on day one here, I'd have fancied a very fucking different result, mate. You know, the Windies had the best bowling conditions. I mean, they had the best batting day as well. To be fair, you know, it was yesterday, wasn't it? They batted, and it was the sunniest day in Manchester so far, and they had leaden skies for the days they were bowling at England. I fancied Jimmy here. It's his home ground, man.
Three slips, a gully and a backward point go down, and this one's across Brooks's shoulder, a little bit short from Broad. Brooks happy to leave that alone. It concludes that over. 2 for 17, 30-3 West Indies, and MASH. How are we doing on messages?
Indeed. So, over on Crit Tracker, first and foremost, hello to Abdullah, Michael Swanson, who have left us some messages. They're obviously tuning in to see how this unfolds. That dastardly mutt, he says, do any of the listeners want to test the Gorilla's movie knowledge with the Guess the Movie emoji game? But we can't play it because we're on comms, we can't see, well, I can see the emoji. It's a smile and a foot, or a happy face and a foot.
Happy face and a foot.
Is there a
Happy
penguin?
feet.
Happy feet, surely.
Yeah. So Leah says England have another 3 test games. Pakistan coming. I'll come back to that.
Well, Chris Wokes is going to continue. Hair flopping, beard bristling. Nothing doing though. Wide of off stump and past Roston Chase. And in that Roston Chase-like way, almost statuesque, he says, if it's not in my arc, I'm just going to leave it, which he does.
I would argue, when you were talking about bowlers, I'd have Broad and Anderson. I think you could perm any one of Wokes, Archer or Curran with those two. If the wicket's anything like this, it's not going to be massively pacey again.
In comes Wokes, left again by Chase. Well, again, and also you need to think, what might transpire during the course of this afternoon. Will England succeed in taking the remaining 7 wickets? Will somebody step up and take 4 or 5 of them and make themselves undroppable? Or are the England management team going to say, well, we set out in this series, whatever happened, to experiment and just because we've won a game doesn't mean we're going to stop doing that. So it's going to be interesting whatever happens as Wokes is in again. 3 slips go down, and that one played inside by Roston Chase. And I say that with a hint of hesitation there, because I think he did play inside it, but at the same time it was just enough away swing to trouble him, wasn't it?
It rose quite sharply as well, didn't it?
It did.
He did play inside it. He played the original line. It did seem to leave him a little bit and bounce off the seam.
The movie star, speaking of movies, we have the movie star good looks of Chris Wokes. And that one is solidly played by Roston Chase. It's a way to cover. There is no run. Round of applause from the slip cordon for Wokes. I don't really think these England bowlers at the moment need any extra G'ing up.
No, I don't. The one thing that will happen is if they do settle into this no-run bubble, is the field will slowly come up, and you'll end up with more slips and a short leg and a man around the corner, and then it suddenly becomes a
more
different
gaps
game
to exploit as well.
Well, there's more gaps to exploit.
In comes Wokes. That's wide of leg stump, whipped away down to backward square leg. Dominic Sibley, the slim line Sibbers comes around from long leg, where he's dispatched to. I don't think that's his normal fielding position. Is it down there at long leg?
Who was that?
Dom Sibley.
No, usually the other bowler goes down there.
Well, that's
Brody.
that's
Yeah,
what
but
I
Brody often goes at mid-off, doesn't he? So he can speak, or mid-off or mid-on, so he can speak with the other bowler.
which
Well,
I
he's not
like.
the most mobile if you're not going to have him in the slips.
Well, there are 3 slips as Wokes is in, left alone by Brooks. He does have a little shuffle across his stumps, part of his trigger movements. He seems to start quite wide of off stump and then moves himself across. Mash, is he a particular LBW candidate in his career?
By Brooks, are we saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think he's. But it does get out. That's why I think he's got a good enough temperament to not be getting out wafted. I know he wafted one earlier on, but he shuffles across quite a lot. And I think he was pinned in the first innings like that.
Yeah, well, it's the one that comes back, isn't it?
He
It's
was
the
by
danger ball.
Stuart Broad, of course.
It's the
we're
Nick
getting
Backer.
Some updates from the green room, which I will avail you of very shortly.
You'll both be pleased to know that on my at the moment I've chalked almost like prison cell style tallies for overs.
Okay, well, Broad, I beg your pardon. 71 overs left today. Broad, I don't think that was I don't think he was doing a sort of a training warming up run there. He genuinely pulled out of that. It's 31 for 3.
So we need a wicket every 10 overs.
Yeah. Mash will probably tell you that one quite often brings 2 and then they may just come in clumps. But yes, that's the maths of it all, and that's left alone by Chase outside of his off stump.
It'd be interesting to know strike rates of all England bowlers then, because I doubt any of them have got a strike rate over 60 except for possibly Don Bess, in which case keep him out of the attack, let everyone else bowl. Statistics will take care of itself, and this game will be dusted with about
64.72 for Broad.
What's that?
Strike rate of I'm looking at his batting. I'm being completely dull there. 57 for Broad, 57.8, nearly 58 in terms of a bowling strike rate. So Broad is going to be in. He's in 2. Roston Chase, who's on 1, and that was an absolute perler of a ball. Pitched and bounced and just moved enough. And Chase, though, well, I'll take that back. It moved a lot. Chase left it, but only just.
He didn't leave that. He played at that. He was beating all ends up.
Flinched and wobbled, didn't he? And Joss Butler took that tidily, as he has done all Test by and large, I think, with his keeping. But Roston Chase, he's an unflappable sort. He just gets down and on with his work, and that one's flicked nicely off his leg as if to prove the point. It's going to be down 2 long leg. They will take a single, so he'll move on to 2. West Indies 32 for 3. We're halfway through the 15th over. And I suppose the other consideration is, what do we reckon? Probably up to 30 to 35 overs before the ball just goes through its a quieter phase of its capabilities, shall we say?
Yeah, I was going to raise this point. I think in both first innings, for England, West Indies, there was a period of time where it was very easy to bat.
Yes, well, this is what I mean. We need a majority of wickets before that happens.
Stuart Broad will be straining every sinew to do that, but that's nicely played by Brooks. Away to cover, they'll take a single. So rotating the strike, tidily enough, these two.
And of course, you've got to remember that Sam Curran won the first over. He always gets a wicket in his first over. Let's pray that happens again. He just does them with a surprise, doesn't he? He has the big booming in-swing as a lefty.
Yes, he does.
And
yes, he does.
Often, if you've been set up by a load of righties, it's just adjusting for that first over can be quite tricky.
3 slips and a gully, a man at backward point, a man at forward short leg, flicked again though off his legs nicely through mid-wicket by Roston Chase. That will probably net him 3,
No.
or is it gone all the way? It's gone all the way to the boundary for one of these.
2 + 2 is our man. 2 + 2 is our man.
And that is how you play that stroke. It was just really letting the ball do the work, let the ball come onto the bat, just guided it away through mid-wicket. No overly reaching for the ball, no trying to put extra power on it. The ball was moving fast enough, it was in the right arc, and it was just made it away through mid-wicket for 4. 37 for 3, Chase has moved on to 6. Broad has 1 ball left of his 8th over, and that's in, and that's got to be a huge shout. Broad's gone up. I assume the umpire's given it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
If he hasn't, I would be utterly shocked, and I don't think Roston Chase is even going to review. I didn't bowl it, did it?
No, I don't think so. I
think it did. We're going to have another look now. I mean...
Oh, okay, yeah, that's pinged him right in front. Well, he hasn't played a shot, has he, Tone? So he can't claim to be outside the line. And I think that is coming back to hit the off stump. So he's probably
3
wise.
quarters of the way up.
Well, there's one of the big ones that we wanted. And we have to say, unfortunately, this. I've got 3 unders in a row, boys. Boom, we're on a roll.
Well, Anderson said on day 1, I think he had some soreness in the back. Stuart Broad's taken 57 wickets since the start of 2019. 27, that's 2 different things actually. 27 of them have been bowled or LBW, 47%. His overall bowled LBW average is 34% LBW. Well now.
Looks like my hedge might work too.
Yes, I think you could be right. Mash, any social messages?
Yes, Leah says, have another 3 tests against Pakistan coming up with little time for rest between the matches. I think it's probably not the worst idea to manage the workloads, read the bowlers. Although not a whole lot of people seem to be talking about workloads, read the batsmen.
No, I think it's a different thing, isn't it? I mean, the amount of force, especially with a pace bowler, it's the amount of force you're putting through your body. You don't. It's concentration with a batsman and fitness per se. Whereas I think it's the rigours on the pace bowlers that will worry them, because it's very easy to get very tired doing that.
Actually, that hit him probably just above the knee roll, but he was well back in his crease. It was the back leg, there was no shot offered. It was crashing into the top third of that off stump. And there was not even an appeal from Broad. Broad already knew it was out. It was the most un-Broad-like, unflamboyant wicket that you'd ever see. He just sort of waggled a finger just because he knew. Curran is into the attack, however, as you wanted, and let's see if he does get that first wicket. It's pushed away into the onside. Let's jingle him up. Or no, we're not. Are we looking at a replay?
No, we are. It's a jingle flurry. This man's in.
Here.
Is he a batter or bowler? Sam Curran. What's his distinguishing feature? Sam Curran. He's not from Zimbabwe. Sam Curran. And he's beloved by Liz Yates.
In Curran comes to Brooks. Brooks on the drive and drives nicely. Drives away through cover, and there's 2 men converging on it. Neither will get there. They end up, one of them at least ends up in a heap. Crawley is the one. Who's the other one? I think that's our friend Don Bess, isn't it?
Could well be.
He ended up in a bit of an ugly heap, but it's 4 runs.
Should be there everywhere.
message from the green room. This was Broad did appeal, but he was already at second slip by the time he'd done it. And it seemed to be an afterthought. It was just so plumb.
Well, my initial thoughts were that he got far enough outside off stump and it wasn't really hitting off stump. But
you know me, Bear. You know I never would give a false decision, and
totally.
that to me looked as plumb could be. Sam Curran again, bowling the third ball, left arm over the wicket, nicely driven by Brooks, but driven straight to mid-off, and there's no run. Brooks is on 12. Blackwood yet to face since he came to the crease. Averages actually 97, doesn't he? No, that's with his bowling. He averages 21.
If he averages 97, he'd be the best batsman in the world, Tony, by quite some way.
Indeed, in comes Curran, left alone by Brooks through to Joss Buttler, 77 miles an hour. But with Sam Curran, it's not about pace, it's about movement, particularly in the air. He's sporting the same samurai headband that Stuart Broad is. Will it have the same impact on his bowling?
I think we get another one now. Collapses like a house of cards.
Well, that's yet to happen. In comes Curran, left alone again by Brooks. As we said more than once, if England bowl there, the West Indian batsmen will be happy to just keep leaving those. No real incentive to do much else. 41 for 4 they are. That target of 312 starting to look nominal. And well, I don't suppose WinViz has changed its opinion of the 0% chance on that. Trying to get that ball to swing back in, isn't he, Curran? And it's not quite working. Left again. So again, I think Bear, we're seeing Curran desperately trying to move that ball back in. It's not quite working for him just yet, is it?
Well, if it doesn't, there's not a lot for him, is there? Stokesy could be a big influence here, couldn't he? He's pumped.
Yeah,
he's pumped.
All about when you bring him on. Mash, can you update us on any messages?
Yes, so you asked earlier on about England's strike rates. Broad 58, Waltz 60, Curran 58, Stokes 58, Best 80, Root 95. So that fits a bit what Bear was saying about.
Leave the spinners out, just bowl the others, and we should do it with about 12 balls to spare.
There you go. Do stay with us. That may not be exactly what happens.
That'd be quite exciting, though, wouldn't it?
But we shall see.
New batsman.
Blackwood, yeah, indeed. Finally gets to strike.
He has a jingle that goes a bit like this.
Jeremy, Blackwood.
Three slips go down. Broad is in. Nicely played by Blackwood. It's just nudged way into the offside. No run. Blackwood does a little bit of gardening. Goes for a little walkabout. 312 that target. 41 for 4. We're one ball into the 17th over, which is the 9th for Stuart Broad. I would imagine it's going to be quite hard to tease the ball out of his hands, but England have other options, of course. This one is nicely played off his hip this time, so Blackwood's off and running. He'll get a single. Brooks will be back on to strike. 3 for 24 for Broad. Wokes using that cable knit jumper of his with the 3 lions on the front to wipe frantically at the ball. I don't think we've had any real issues of spit management, have we?
I don't think
in this test.
I always thought that was a bit ridiculous. You can work up enough of a sweat, especially the bowlers, that you should be able to manage it with that.
So in comes Broad, and on the back foot goes Brooks. That ball didn't get up that high, but Brooks played it tidily under his eye line off the back foot. It was away into the offside. There's no run. 42 for 4.
I should say that the GPL, basically everyone who's gone on the GPL either has West Indies getting hammered or heroic failure, because the top runs is 367, which wouldn't quite be enough to get the West Indies over the line. And the lowest is 214, which means I'm getting rolled for about 100 and something.
Broad full. That one does swing in and swings a little bit late, but not prodigiously, and it enables Brooks to play it into the offside. Apparently, Dom Sibley did apply some saliva yesterday. The umpires had to put some disinfectant on the ball. Now, I don't know what effect disinfectant has on what a ball does, but I can't imagine it does it much good. It would surely change the dynamics of the ball.
If it was alcoholic in nature, it would come off straight away, because it would evaporate. That's the whole point about it. When was it put on? Was it put on the new ball? Was it put on the old ball? Because it didn't do much good with the old ball, it must be said.
Well, it didn't, as the three slips go down. Big, high elbowed defence, but only away into the offside. There will be no run. 42 for 4. It was the old ball, we are reliably informed.
Didn't do much then.
There's a man who knows his alcohol. The Bear assures us that our application of alcohol onto the ball would evaporate almost immediately, although there is a chance, I suppose, it might make the bowler a bit pissed as he came sniffing it during his run-in.
Well, possibly.
42 for 4. Broads in, full, flipped off his sort of ankle height away into mid-on. There is no run. It's the end of the over, and we'll have some more social messages.
Mark Zip says to Bear, what if England put Root on for a couple of very quick overs of the old ball? Wouldn't that give them the possibility of more overs for the new ball later on in the day? Is there a limit on overs in the last day, especially if the result is concerned?
I think it's the last hour, isn't it? It's the last hour or 15 overs or something. I can never remember what that rule is. But I think you have to bowl 15 overs in the last hour. So you can get more than 15 overs in, but it has to be a minimum of 15. I think that's it.
270 is what the West Indies need to run. Joe Denley's on. Now, who is Joe Denley on for, I wonder? He's doing a few stretches. Well, he won't be bowling, but he's just getting himself loose and limbered up.
My next bowling change, would be to bring Stokes on, I have to say.
Yeah, he's your magic man. He's the man in form. But for the moment, it's Sam Curran. It was played. It was wide and flipped over the top of the slip cordon, not cauldron, and away for 4. Risky but effective.
There's not one boy for me. I must have 2 or 3. I need 4.
Well, we saw Jermaine, but he did that in the last test, didn't he, to get him over the line?
Yeah. Apparently Don Best has gone.
Okay. Now my reason for that would be not that I didn't think that Don Best bowled particularly well yesterday, but I just think you want to get as much out of this newish ball as you can, and there's not much point if you've got another seamer turn into spin whilst you still got the opportunity.
Curran is ever hiding the seam position as he's in, and this is left alone by Blackwood through to Butler. There is no run, just a shade south of 80 miles an hour there for Curran. West Indies 46 for 4, 270 the target. That's as we said, a fair way off. That was a well judged shot, wasn't it, Nash?
Yeah, I thought it was
under the circumstances.
Yeah. It's in the bag.
It's in a bag, but we don't know what it is or which bag, and that one's driven, and that's driven uppishly as well, but this time it's up and over extra cover, and it'll be 4 more. So a little bit loose from Curran, but he probably will argue that he doesn't mind seeing those shots being played.
Well, presumably, as long as he can get the ball to come back in. If not,
well,
it's just hang out there every time and get hit.
That was Wokes there, and he wasn't that far underneath it. So whilst it netted Jermaine Blackwood 4 runs, I suspect it was a tad riskier than he would have wanted, as Curran's in, and this one is left. Butler takes it down around about knee height to his right. The 50's up for the West Indies, if anyone is counting. It's the wickets column that I think we're most focused upon here.
Well, I think Jermaine Blackwood is obviously taking the attitude of, let me give the English bowlers something to think about for a bit. You've got to release the pressure in some shape or form. So I don't actually mind him doing that.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a plan here, doesn't there?
As Curran is in, slanted across, and well, he's done it again. He's absolutely caned that away between cover and extra cover. That's gone for 4 more.
And if you kids can't listen, then you bound to see the way you get shot for crossing a boundary, crossing a boundary.
Not the most effective over. Curran is striving to get that in-swinger going. It's not really working. Net result of that was it was over-pitched. It was the most drivable length, and very elegantly driven it was too. So he's gone for 12, 4.4.4. Has 1 ball left. All will be forgiven if he can do something with it. But it's driven again, but more defensively this time. Straight to mid-off, end of the over. And once more, we will catch you up on your messages to us and any conversations arising from it.
Yes, before I go to the top message, I wanted to share a quote with you that Cricket Badger, a tweet which was sent to us. Stuart Broad saying, I think sometimes I get put in an older category than I am. Jimmy has taken around 130 test wickets since he was my age. Why can't I do the same? I'm hungry, our fitness levels are good. Why not try and emulate what Jimmy's done and play to his age? I feel I can.
Well, I think he's sending out a message there. Words are one thing, doing it on the field with the ball are another, and to his credit so far he's done that, and he's got a chance to carry on doing it. Well, 67 overs left today.
How old's Brody? 34, 35?
He's 34, I think. And he's now going to be in to Brooks, who again plays this quite late, or watches the ball onto the bat quite correctly. And again, there is no run. 54-4-4.
I mean, I think there's huge merit in what Broad's saying. You manage your body properly and you adapt your game as a fast bowler. There's no reason why you can't continue like Jimmy has. It's just about the desire to want to continue though.
Well, I agree entirely. I just think this idea that he's too old is nonsense. That's out!
That
surely!
Slap in front. Broad is appealing. I don't think it's been given. Now he's one of those wide-eyed, hands in front of mouth appeals. There's a conversation.
I thought he got
a feeling it was an inside edge.
Well, if there was an inside edge, it's not out, obviously. But I mean, other than that, it was plumb.
Well, there's no a lack of discussion and a lack of excitement.
It looked like an edge on plain view, but
we will have another look.
Oh yeah, big inside edge.
Massive inside edge. So nothing to see. We all move on. And well, a while in retrospect, it makes you wonder why Stuart Broad was appealing at all, and looks completely bemused, puzzled, affronted, shocked, and generally discombobulated.
Well,
that there wasn't a review to the most enormous inside edge you're likely to see.
Well, to be fair, I didn't see it. I went up.
You went up.
Yeah, but you're Pinocchio like Stuart Broad.
Yeah, Pinocchio like Stuart Broad.
It's always out, Mass. It's always out, man.
I enjoyed the film. Found the acting a little wooden though, as once again Broad is in, flicked down leg side, but he didn't flick it because otherwise he would have been out because Butler took it on the full.
No, he didn't.
Clearly no bat on it.
He palmed it into the ground, but I think it came off thigh pad.
Yeah, no, I don't think he laid any bat upon that. Apparently Don Best is back on the field. We're watching a flurry of wickets falling from yesterday, which is...
No, this is Jermaine Blackwood.
Oh, okay, we're looking at Jermaine Blackwood. Well, he's 13 off 9 so far in this innings. Stuart Broad has him in his sights, and that's a big shout from Broad, but that looked to me, Bear, to be going way down leg.
That was too high and going down leg. Do not review that one. No. You wasted one earlier. Don't waste another.
Broad's got a few mannerisms. Not Broad, I beg your pardon. Joe Root has a few mannerisms to try and, it seems like a lifetime to tick those seconds away when he knows he's not going to uphold Broad's request for a review.
Exactly. He
fiddles with things in his pockets. He plays with his wristbands.
Yeah. Stares.
Looks at his toes. Basically.
Exactly. Avoid his gaze at all costs.
Broad in again. Nice high elbowed defensive stroke. It's straight away to cover. There's no run. 55 for 4. 1 ball left of this Broad over. Now Don Best disappearing off the field. Joe Denley coming on, and then Don Best coming back fairly quickly. I wonder if we read something into that. Do we read that they might be looking to mix spin and seam? We'll find out at the end of this over.
what has Don Best gone on? I mean, he's not the man to go off the field to get team instructions, is he? I mean,
well, no. Who knows? I was possibly putting 2 and 2 together and making 5, as this one is worked away to mid-on. There's no run.
And the flip side of that is, if you need to tell Don Best how to bowl, he shouldn't be in the fucking side.
Well,
quite simply.
You're making up a backstory there, Bear. That
well,
doesn't necessarily exist.
You know, if he's going off for instructions, why is he? You know, there's no. Well, exactly. You're the one who said it. He shouldn't need bloody instructions. He's a professional cricketer. He should know what the fuck his job is.
He may just bowl better with an empty bladder.
Well, that's different. That's not instructions. That's going for a piss. And if he went to do that, fair enough.
I'm going to read some tweets in the meantime.
Please do.
Brian Barish says, it still amazes me how much bowlers can do to the bowling cricket, considering the fact that pretty much any sort of substance or scuffing or anything else is banned in baseball.
Very good point. I'm enjoying Brian's contributions because he brings a baseball point of view to a lot of really interesting cricket questions, which we're very grateful for. 3 slips go down, and that is played away to mid-on.
But they
Stuart Broad, the other wearer of the white headband fields.
Can't they spit on the ball in baseball? I thought that was part
That's a good
of
question. That's one for Brian. Let us know.
I thought that was kind of the thing. He spat on one side of the ball, similar to kind of shining, I suppose. Is that not a thing?
Some of the aerodynamic considerations are similar.
Well, it's different seam, isn't it? You've got that kind of semicircular seam, so that probably has different aerodynamics.
The difference, of course, we'll come to that thought in a moment, as the 3 slips go down, Curran is in, and that's nicely played by Brooks. The difference with baseball, of course, is it's all about the movement you can create in the air. The additional equation of what the ball does off a pitch is not relevant at all.
And also, you can chuck it.
Well, yes.
Rather than bowl it.
Basically, the idea. I think.
Well, no,
because
you get faster paces, don't you? You get faster pace through the air, but it's a longer distance between the mound and the bat, isn't it? It's about.
You do. I mean, I've sat watching baseball with,
I love it.
I'll tell you in a moment, as Curran's in, and that's played away again nicely into the offside point. Yeah, I've had many long discussions with American friends of mine about the subtleties and intricacies of making a ball swing and move. And you know, for every argument I put forward about the additional dimensions of pitch movement and atmospheric conditions, they'll counter with the multitude of things that a baseball can do and that the pitcher can make it do to disguise things and fool the batter, the striker, batter, they call 3 slips down and left alone through to Butler it goes.
I mean, there's
55 for 4.
There's a multitude of baseball pitching. So just off the top of my head, the change-up, the fast ball, the breaking ball, the knuckle ball,
slider,
the curve ball, the slider. So I've watched the Minnesota Twins quite a lot, and I actually think baseball is a fascinating game. It's long.
Yeah, I find it a bit too slow. There's a bit too much time. And the whole thing about balls, and you know, some guys out there keeps missing it, but it's a ball, and you know.
Curran's going to be in again, and that one's a little bit inside edgy by Brooks, but safe and secure enough. 55 for 4. 1 ball left of this Curran over, and distinctly better over than his last one, where he was really striving for that ball to swing, and he offered up 3 very hittable balls which were duly hit. So that over went for 12, but he's been a lot more economical in this one. Brooks and Blackwood matching one another, although Brooks somewhat the slower of the two. Curran in, left through to Butler. 55 for 4, end of that Curran over, and more messages from Mash, or maybe more baseball news.
Well, actually, believe it or not, yes, there is. John Thompson says there was spitball in baseball, but it's long since been banned. That's news to me. I didn't actually know that. But,
I just remember all those old movies where they spit on a ball and then rub it in with their hand.
Yes.
I do have a question for Mash, actually, when he's finished reading messages at some point.
Nia, the spitball has obviously generated conversation, because Nia says the spitball was banned in 1920, and only 17 spitballs were allowed to use it until the end of their careers.
Okay. 65 overs left in the day here today. 55 for Twins. Yes, my quick question to you is, why the Minnesota Twins? Do you just pick them out of a hat and go?
Nah, just friends in Minnesota, and as you know, with your going to the States, once you go to the States, you have to pick a team. And
Yeah.
and then once you pick that state's team, that just replicates for every other sport in that state.
So you're a Minnesota Vikings fan?
Exactly, yeah. So the Vikings, the Wild, the Twins. That's probably where Americans.
Tampa Bay Rays. Toronto. The Rays and the Blue Jays are probably my two teams for various reasons. Not that I really would claim to follow it closely enough to genuinely say that. I'm not a Glory supporter. As Wokes is going to be in, and he's in to Blackwood, who just gets everything nicely tucked in behind this, so there's no run.
See, this oval for me would have been Stokes. And then,
I agree, Ben.
And then Wokes would have been the next change after Curran at the other end.
I'm with you, Bear. 100% on that one. I just think change things around a little bit.
But maybe they're leaving Stokes for that, if it gets to that middle period where the ball's not doing that.
Well, they shouldn't do. Should give him a little spell now. The ball's only 20 overs old.
3 slips. Wokes in. Ooh, well, that one does hurry Blackwood somewhat. But in the end, he plays it tidy enough, 78 miles an hour. Stokes is grimacing or smiling through that beard of his. Blackwood is just stretching his neck muscles, easing some tension, keeping his mind focused on the job in hand.
Also,
which he's doing well.
I felt that they're trying to reduce Stokes' bowling load anyway.
Well, I think they are, and that one's full and flicked away and stopped at mid-wicket. Broad, who is now sporting his floppy sun hat, does the tidying up. West Indies on 56 now. We're halfway through the 21st over. Brooks on 13, which he's got rather fairly patiently off 36, whereas Blackwood's been going pretty much at a run a ball, but he was the one who was tucking in, I think, wasn't he, to Sammy Curran.
Yeah.
Curran tended to drop the ball loosely. I wonder if there's a discussion there about whether we might even see a bit of a wild card like Sibley. I think that's highly unlikely, to be fair.
We are due a change at the end of this over, boys.
Are we?
Yeah.
Lord, I thought, is that including the extra 15, extra whatever it was supposed to
everyone
have?
gets an extra 5 minutes.
It goes. As that one is swinging in, but tidily paid by Brooks, 56 for 4.
At the end of this over, it'll be Hendo, Knackle and Dave.
Oh, what a team. What a trio. Rarely matched since Curly, Moe and Larry. And West Indies, well, 56 for 4. Brooks the man is on 13. Jermaine Blackwood on 14. So Wokes is going to be in. Again, that's very tidily played by Brooks. Quite tall, stood tall, let the ball come to the bat again. Not in front of it. Had he missed that, just about every single part of his body would have been right in front of the stumps, mind you, but he didn't miss it. So Wokes just has the 1 ball left. Bear, are you itching for that breakthrough? You're starting to feel just that little bit.
Yeah, you always do. I mean, once a batsman gets settled, it's always harder to get him out. You've got to get him reasonably early.
Here comes Wokes. Again, very, very well played. Concludes that over with the West Indies on 56 for 4. 21 overs gone. 312 the target. There will be a change. The man, the myth, the legend, Nigel Henderson, stands ready, and I will leave you until, I think, after tea.
Okie dokie. I'll see you guys shortly.
Stands ready might not be the correct term. I'm ensconced in a sofa that just gets lower and lower. And it is 28 years old, so maybe we need something new. Well, how the game has moved on since I was last with you. And England have taken 4 vital West Indies wickets. Roston Chase, I thought, was an important one. He's a man who can bat time, has frustrated England in the past, as indeed has Jason Holder, who's still to come. But I don't know. It's unusual for me to be slightly disagreeing with the Bear being the slightly pessimistic one from an English fan's point of view, and me feeling that it's going pretty well at the moment. 56 for 4, 21 overs bowled. Curran is round the wicket to Blackwood, and I have been tempting him with that drive. He likes to go aerial. This one he gets in behind, defends, and it goes into the covers. There is no run. I should have been joined now by Knackle and David Brook, but David, you look like you're still muted. Unmute yourself, sir, and let us hear your wisdom. Ah, there you are, Dave.
I think England in a good position, Hendo. I agree with your analysis.
As you should. Curran in again, bowls foolish outside the off stump.
It's in the contract. It's in the small print.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. You know which side of the bread your butter is buttered on. Is it? There's that phrase for that. Which side? I've forgotten. Never mind. The target is. They always say a nominal 312. I don't totally discount the West Indies here, because these are two exciting batsmen. They're two of their better batsmen, I would say. Brooks has looked very comfortable.
Brooks was excellent yesterday.
Blackwood, we saw what he could do in the first test. He's onto the back foot, right up on his toes. He's the smaller of the two men. Pushes it up to mid-off.
Forgive me for sub-editing a sub-editor, but isn't it notional rather than nominal?
Did I say normal? I don't know. Nominal?
Doesn't nominal mean very small?
Is there a D in pedantic?
I think there is. Let me just check. I'm going to just do a quick Google. I think nominal can be used in that sense, but you might prefer notional. Token, you see, token. It can mean token. Oh, he smashed that. He's gone after a wide one outside off stump, and that is ultimately only going to dribble into the fence, but it does dribble into the fence and brings Blackwood 4 runs.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
So if you will sub the sub-editor, be sure that you have checked out all options.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah, Dave, is this a tactical counter-attack? I mean, specifically against Curran from Blackwood to try and... I mean, it's not really swinging for him, but to counter that sort of skiddy threat of Curran, or is this just Blackwood being Blackwood?
Yeah, I think if it's in the slot, he'll go for it.
Defends the next delivery. The ball just dribbles a few feet away from him down the pitch.
I mean, I don't think he's trying to knock him out the attack or anything like that. Do you mean it in that sort of way?
Is he trying to knock the shine off the ball?
No. I mean, I was quite curious this morning, as someone as generally slow scoring as someone like Craig Brathwaite. I thought he was quite adventurous early on. I think they've probably gone out there and they've been told, don't get bogged down. That's the worst thing that can happen. And wickets will eventually fall around you. Here is Curran again to complete the over into the legs of Blackwood. He flicks it away and he runs the first one quickly. He's going to come back for a second quite comfortably in the end. And the West Indies have moved on to 62 for 4. Blackwood has 20. Brooks has 13. Any tweets?
Yes, on this continuing the conversation about the spitball in baseball, Brian Barish sort of adds to what Leah was saying, that spitting on the ball was officially banned in 1920, although the league allowed a handful of pitchers who did it on a regular basis to continue until they retired. I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? Imagine in cricket, you say, look, okay, Stu, Anderson, we're changing the regulations, but your spit is okay because you've been doing it for 20 years.
A grandfathering rule on ball tampering is interesting.
You've got a quality spit, is that basically it? It's got to be quality spit.
Well, it's got a long-standing spit.
Long-standing, indeed. Spit by reputation. Extraordinary stuff. Talking of spitting in baseball, I mean, that actually is one of the things that turns me off the game, is how they all just stand, what do they call it, the pen? They stand in the pen and they're all just spitting the whole time. What is it about people who aren't doing anything in baseball needing to spit all the time? Defended as the new over starts from Wokes towards mid-wicket by Brooks, and there is no run. Can anyone enlighten me on that?
Well, Derek Willis adds to your... this is not going to improve your liking of the spitball. He said it also involved putting a substance other than saliva on the ball, like petroleum jelly, just tucked behind the ear or under the rim of the cap.
Yeah, people pulled off all sorts. I think there was a catcher who used to use basically glue on his mitt until he got caught.
Yeah, that could be awkward, isn't it, if he collided with someone as he ran in and he got stuck to them. Anyway, here comes Wokes again. Bowls to Brooks. Good delivery, probing around Midland leg, threatening to swing away. Well met by Brooks. The thing I like about Brooks is he seems to have time to play. He's one of those players that doesn't look hurried. If you want an example of someone who does look hurried, that is Craig Brathwaite. He fiddles, when the ball moves, he fiddles away outside off stump. He's found a method that works. but it's not good to watch.
Yeah, although it's got him into trouble a little bit today, because they've been showing all day that he is a bit of an LBW candidate because he gets across his stumps and he gets squared up.
Yep, Wokes in again, full. Oh, now I say he's looking very good. Brooks, but he was trying to work that away through mid-wicket. It's gone off an outside edge down towards third man. Been chased by Bess, I think it is, and they've got back for a third. So 3 rather fortunate runs on this occasion for Brooks. He moves on to 60. No, I can't hear any crowd noise. Have we lost our crowd noise?
No, it's there. It's just a bit quiet.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's coming through loud and clear in the studio.
All right. Yes, I can hear it now that you're on. That's strange. When I speak, I don't hear it.
Just
must be used to that, Hendo.
Just Zoom things. I want to talk about this bowling change. Wokes has switched ends. Obviously, Broad has bowled 10 overs either side of lunch. See if Wokes gets anything from the Anderson end. He's been bowling mostly from the Statham end. I would be pretty tempted now to get Ben Stokes on at the Statham end and replace.
Well,
Curran.
I heard the talk about Ben Stokes a few minutes ago, just before I came on, and I agreed with whoever it was that was saying that he may be the enforcer when the shine has gone off the ball, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, it's a particular way that he can bowl.
Oh yeah, he did
adapts himself to the team.
He did it yesterday for 11 overs.
Yeah, and if that's what they need, if they fear that once the shine has gone off the ball, short, Blackwood goes after this but mistimes it, and the ball rolls gently towards Zach Crawley with extra cover.
Yeah,
I think, you don't want to take too much out of him if you're going to insist on him playing that role. So I'm not bothered that he hasn't bowled yet, but obviously it's getting to that time when he probably does need a bit of a spell.
Yeah. I think the plan for England seems to be that he bowls one long spell per innings.
Here is Wokes again, bowls to Blackwood, who comes forward and defends to mid-wicket. There is no run. 65 for 4. The target is 312. 22, nearly 23 overs bowled. We think we're going to get 85. It's 85 minimum, isn't it? So that's another 63.
Minimum of 62 left after this.
Minimum of 62. Well, that really ought to be enough for England if they're going to, if they are a good enough team. Really, just need to maybe break this partnership, which is looking a little bit problematic. This is a good ball from Wokes, bit back of a length, but it jagged back fiercely, and Blackwood was surprised by it and had to jab on it, taking the bottom hand off the handle of the bat. That is the end of the over. More tweets, David.
Yes, still on the baseball theme, Colin Rosenthal says in baseball they change the ball a lot, so there isn't the same mystique about managing the condition of the ball. And Brian Barish is back to say that Tampa's fans seem to be mostly snowbirds who come down from the northern states. Toronto's fans are basically all from Canada, at least since the Montreal Expos moved to Washington in 2005. So all of Canada, yes.
Sorry, go on.
And finally, Christ the Choir says many spitball pitchers, baseball history, adding substances to the ball is something that the game has officially at least tried to eradicate. The great Bob Gibson, who he said, rules or no rules, pitchers are going to throw spitters. It's a matter of survival, Hendo.
Okay, well, I'll come back to that in a minute, but we are going to change of bowling, but it isn't Ben Stokes, it's this man.
Emerge from the county scene where it rises rain. It's Dominic Bess, selected for the Euro test, the latest in a long.
And here he comes, bowling to Brooks. It's a full toss, and he drives square to a man fielding on the cover boundary. So he's got a man there for the bad ball.
Yeah,
he's Zach Crawley. They take the single, 66 for 4.
There was a little bit yesterday in Bess's early spells of sea where he didn't have anyone in the point region at point or at deep point, and I was going crazy because he was just leaking runs through there. But he talked about this deep point position being an attacking weapon for him, as it creates a gap between bat and pad as batters try and force a single through there.
Driven up to mid-off, who's quite deep set, but he hit it firmly enough that Root prevents the single. Blackwood has moved on to 20. Brooks has 17. And coming back to the spitting, I wasn't really thinking about putting saliva on the ball with regards to baseball, as Bess is in again, a slip and a forward short leg. He goes back, waiting for this one, and then guides it away through gully. They'll get back for a comfortable 2 because Zach Crawley will have to make some ground to get to that. 68 for 4 is the score. It's the spitting that goes on in the pen. Is it the bullpen they call it? The pen? And at what point in your baseball education are you encouraged and taught to spit in that particular area when you're not actually involved in the game? That's what I want to know. Why is there this culture of spitting? Bess in again, bowls to Blackwood. Blackwood drives into the ground and then up into the hands of Dominic Bess. Bump ball, as we call it. He's trying to put a lot of work on the ball and rubbing it on both sides of his trousers. And he's coming in again. Just fiddling with the ball in his right hand. He's in, bowls, driven. There will be one, there'll be more than one. That's beautifully placed by Blackwood. He's strong on the drive. That one went all the way along the ground, and it is 4 runs.
It's absolutely fine if you're Dom Bess. You don't mind being driven for boundaries. What you don't want to be doing is being cut or pulled.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if he is going to get some extravagant turn from outside the off stump, he wants to encourage the drive. Got a very good stride in there. You have to say there, Blackwood.
Oh, yeah, it's a really good
overpitched a lot, hasn't he? Though.
I think Blackwood's made that into a half
got
volley.
It right, hasn't he?
Sorry, Henry. I think he's made that into a half volley.
Onto the back foot he goes as Bess switches to round the wicket, which is not necessarily a bad move. He's got that potential ball that goes straight across the right-hander, and he might play for spin and get a little edge through to the keeper or through to slip. It's the end of the over, and it's 72 for 4. Jermaine Blackwood has now moved on to 61 overs for England to get 6 wickets. Dave?
Yes, imagine, says the biggest difference between baseball and cricket is when the pitcher hits the batter, it often ends up in a big effing brawl. This is what cricket needs. It will bring the crowds back. Jack Bannister more cerebrally says, have you listened to Wright Thompson on Red Inca and read his Cricinfo piece about Sachin and India? Both amazing, and it does intertwine the two sports a bit. No, we haven't seen that.
Right.
Jack, now you'd like to post that.
Yeah, Wright Thompson's an American writer, and his cricket writing is brilliant from an outside perspective.
Ooh.
And the Red Inca is Jared Kimber's podcast.
Oh, okay. And Mark Zip says most Americans' reactions are saying, this is quoting Bear, I find baseball too slow, while commenting on the 5th day of a game which might well end in a draw. And the reaction is about 24 emoji laughters.
Well, we can argue about that. We can tell you why it's not boring to go into 5 days.
Exactly.
It's like saying it's triathlon boring. It would be for me, and also painful. Defended by Brooks as Woke starts a new over into the covers. There is no run.
To be fair, I don't think our tweeter was saying that it was boring.
I know the point he's making, but
Americans would think it was boring if they heard Bear's remark.
Well, I've found that about some American sports. I mean, people think that basketball's a great game, and what I don't understand about basketball is why you cheer when you get a basket, because 98% of the time you get a basket, and it's bloody tall men doing it of 6'8". It's not that hard. Get a little dwarf out there on the what was his name who played for Glamorgan, a very small wicketkeeper. Can't remember his name now. This is driven up to
Harry Pilling.
No, it was smaller than Harry Pilling. Was it Cotty? Was it Tony Cotty?
He wasn't a wicketkeeper.
Tony Cotty played for Leicester.
Oh no, Glamorgan and Sussex. Yeah, he may have had a spell at Leicester. Most people do.
That also used to be true of Glamorgan. It used to be the place where Surrey players went to die. Those ones who hadn't quite made it at the Oval were shipped off to Glamorgan.
Were you ever off with a deal there, Ted?
No, unfortunately.
Oh, what a ball!
He's got a wicket, has he? Wokes thinks so, but the umpire says no. It did seem to die as it went towards the slip cordon, and I'm wondering, did that come off forearm rather than glove or bat? We are going to review it, I think. Are we? No, seemingly not. England have only got 2 reviews remaining, and Joe Root decides against it. But I would like to see that again, just so that we can be sure in our own minds.
I'm sure that can be arranged for you, Hendo.
Let's have a look at this. Ooh, now what can this have hit?
Forearm.
Oh, it looks like it's just above the elbow, I think, isn't it? It was taken by Joss Butler in front of first slip, and Joss is thinking, look, I've caught one, Why couldn't he have edged it?
I Butler's actually kept pretty well in this Test match. The ball's been doing all sorts after it's passed
You
the
have to
stumps.
say that was well played.
Knuckle, can you not tell when I'm being sarcastic?
That was well played.
Anyway, here comes Wokes again. Bowls down the leg side, and Butler takes it again. No great effort in that one, I'm happy to say.
I
17
think
for 4.
Brooks played that pretty well, Hendo, because he got his arm out, got his glove out of the way.
Yes.
It was a snorter, wasn't it?
It was a cracking delivery. Cracking delivery. It's gone off a length, really, hasn't it? And that's one of those balls where his initial instinct as a batsman is to want to come forward to it, and then it jumps, so he's forced onto the back foot in effect. And he did pretty well. Well done, Shamar Brooks. In comes Wokes again onto the back foot. He goes, covering up. Delightful high left elbow. Plays it into the extra cover reason, and there is no run.
In answer to your question, Hendo, no, I can't. You're a deadpan comedy genius. You've muted yourself. That's very deadpan.
I don't know. Just looking at that from side on, it's a very difficult one to call. Very difficult decision for the umpire to make, but it appears that he's made a very good one. Anyway, so Brooks remains on 17, and Wokes will come in to complete his 10th over. Wide on the crease and whipped away. Another good shot from Brooks. It's certainly going to be one. It's going to be a comfortable 2. It's Sam Curran out at long leg who has to run 25 yards to get to that one. 2 more comfortable runs. Brooks 19, Blackwood 26, West Indies 74 for 4. Dave.
Yes, Mark Zip says that baseballers mostly spit because they're chewing tobacco. And Leah says the career best ERA, that's earned run average, belongs to Ed Walsh, who was indeed a spitballer. And Wicket Wolf says spitting in baseball is formerly associated with chewing tobacco, now with expelling sunflower seed shells. The salt intake, of course. And Wicked Wolf says spitting in baseball is formerly... Oh, I've just read that one. And Alex Ferguson said Curran has been, to put it nicely, unthreatening. Oh, we've got a tweet about cricket.
Oh, yes. Yeah, OK, he hasn't threatened so much in this innings, but he did a really good job in the first innings. You can't expect all your bowlers to fire all the time.
Diana's been listening to you very closely, Hendo, because she says, why would nominal, derived from the Latin nomen, meaning name, have anything to do with small?
I don't know, but look it up.
It's true, yeah, it does literally mean in name only.
This partnership now worth 37 as Dominic Best off spinner bowls to Blackwood, and he just leans forward and caresses the ball up to mid-on, and there is no run. But coming back to the spitting thing, because I don't want to let it drop, chewing tobacco during a game.
I think that's pretty old school.
Best in bowls. So the tobacco is in there, but the spitting remains. A beautiful drive by Blackwood. He put it to the right of the man at a shortish extra cover, and to the left of the man at mid-off, and that's brought in 4 beautiful runs.
It's a good battle.
I think if England were hoping that this pitch would break up a little bit more for the spin of Dominic Best, it doesn't appear to have done so, but maybe just needs to bring the ball back. It's a very difficult margin for an off spinner, and he's maybe just a sort of 6 inches too full, maybe a little bit more than that. He's in again, bowls, that's better, but it's well met by Blackwood, who drives up to mid-off, who's set back, not saving the single, and they get through for that one. 79 for 4, Blackwood 31, Brooks 19.
At the start of the over, Root pushed long on back and put someone back on the mid-wicket boundary. I think they're quite happy for Blackwood to take a single. I don't mind. I like the captaincy actually with Root with Best, who is not. I'm always often critical of Root's captaincy of spinners, but I think getting him in early before the batters are properly set is not a bad move.
No, I don't think it's a bad idea to have a look and see what's out there. This is defended by Brooks. Into the offside. Butler comes from behind the stumps to field.
I mean, too often in England the spinner gets thrown the ball when the partnership is well set and said, I don't know, last resort you do something, I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true. I'm just not sure that Best is quite doing himself justice at the moment. But give him a few overs, maybe he'll find a bit of rhythm. He's in again, bowls, and a little bit full. He pushes forward again. Butler comes round from behind the stumps to do the fielding and offside. And there is no run. Brooks is on 19 from 51. Blackwood has 31 at pretty much a run a ball. So he's been enjoyable to watch. In comes best to complete the over. And once again, a little bit full, right alongside bat and pad, as Brooks comes forward and guides it into the offside. It's the end of the over. It's at 79 for 4.
Brian Barish, still on baseball, says we're coming up to the 100th anniversary of the only death of a baseball player due to an in-game injury. The name of Carl Mays, a notorious spit scuffball pitcher. He hit Cleveland's Ray Chapman in the head with the pitch. Chapman died of his injuries the next day. Sorry to hear about that. 100 years ago today. Brian Barish repeating the fact that baseball players chew a lot because of gum tobacco, hence the spitting. And Ravi's adjudicating here about nominal, which means in name only, not in reality. Notional and idea only, not realistic. Both could be used for the Windies target, but I applaud the preference of knackle. I think nominal is used too often as a fancy word for notional. Ravi, thank you for clearing that up so beautifully.
I'm not sure that is cleared up, actually. I mean, nominal and notional sound much the same to me.
I think if anything,
once again, nominal in name only, notional in idea only.
I know what you're saying, but it's a figurative use of the word. Wokes in, bowls, onto the back foot goes Blackwood, defends it back to the bowler, and there is no run.
It's literally figurative. Joe Denley's on for someone.
Oh, right. Who could that be? We do not know. But, yes, people go off, bowlers. Who's not bowling? Sammy Curran, has he nipped off?
Instruction?
No Broad is
Could
out
be
there.
Stokes.
No, Sammy Curran's out there.
Which one of them's gone off for instructions?
Brings back a little piece of paper. Wokes in. Oh, what a beauty that is! Goes past Blackwood's outside edge. In fact, the shoulder of the bat as it seemed to gather pace off the pitch. We know that's not strictly possible scientifically, but it appears to happen. It was a lovely away swinger as well from Wokes. When he's getting it right, Wokes, he's getting it very right.
Yeah. Stokes has gone off.
Oh, it's Stokes, is it? Who's gone off? And he looks such a good bowler when he's bowling like this, Wokes. And other times he can just look a little bit uninspired. Here he is again. Up, going wide on the crease, driven on the angle up to mid-on. And there is no run. That's where Broad is stationed. He's doing some work on the ball as well. Probably a little bit cool out there. He's got the long-sleeved sweater on, and I think that's to England's advantage, really. That it remains fairly grey. The sun doesn't come through. Stokes, we can see, is sitting in the dressing room. He's put his England cap on, so I imagine he's going to come out again fairly soon. And in comes the Alice-banded Wokes. Bowls outside the off stump. Cut shot played. Clever shot this time. There's no one in the gully region, and that's going to run away to an untenanted third man area.
The advantage of this approach from Blackwood is at some point England can't keep the same field. You actually start to make England think about taking a slip out and maybe just allowing those easy singles.
I think it'll be a little while before that happens. I mean, unless Blackwood goes completely crazy. He is going at a run of ball, 35 off 36. And that's that was a free shot, really. There's nobody down there. There's no gully. And if you get it that wide, a good batsman's going to take account of it. Here is Wokes once more, bowling down the leg side this time. And he, I think, got bat on that. It could be a leg by down to long leg. Let's just have a look at umpire Illingworth. Yes, he fist pumps his thigh to signify the leg by, and Stokes is returning. Comes down the steps, and he will be on very shortly. And will he be about to bowl? That is another question, isn't it? 47 this partnership now worth from 71 balls. 1 ball remaining in this over. 84 for 4. And Brooks settles down and waits for Wokes, and he plays a lovely on drive. Was it Broad doing quite well initially, I thought, to tumble away to his right and stop it, but he only half stopped it and then was forced to chase back, and they get back for a second. 86 for 4 at the end of the over. Brooks 21, Blackwood 35.
Yes, thanks to Brendan Stanton and Taiping Shan, who also point out that the culture of spitting in baseball is due to the chewing of tobacco. Gitz and Gratz has sent us a photo of the Stephen Fry character from Blackadder and says, I don't care about the current spit rule. just as long as we're allowed to give the West Indian tail a good licking. Can't we tell yet? Derek Willis, I so agree with this. My friends who express astonishment that cricket lasts 5 days will also spend 4 days watching a golf tournament without blinking an eye. Well said, Derek. Dave Wood says, I find the decathlon boring. I don't see why they can't just settle it over one event. Well said as well, Dave. And Brian Barish says, I'm not sure why Hendo's so upset at crowds cheering every basket. Don't cricket crowds cheer every run? Brian, where can we start on this?
Well, where I'll start with you on that is that the time between it, well, unless you're watching one-day cricket, which is a completely different thing, the time between shots for 4 can be quite considerable at times. So it's a kind of lack of boundaries. You cheer because there is one, or you applaud because there is one, or it's a good shot because the bowling has been so tight up until that point, or maybe you've even played a good shot off a good ball. My point about basketball is that you run up one end, you pouch the basket, and then 10 seconds later there's another one at the other end. And it's sort of the only interesting bit to me is when someone misses, because that's when a team starts to gain an advantage on another. So really you should be cheering the misses as opposed to the baskets. That's my take on it. Anyway, come back to me on that if you have an interesting viewpoint on that.
John Thompson, talks about your point about making basketball more interesting by requiring players to not be huge. You may not know the brilliantly named Spud Webb once won the NBA slam dunk contest despite being just 5'7".
5'7". Well, that's fine. I mean, I did a PE degree many years ago, and the basketball part of it was quite quite hurtful for me, because everyone else was about 6'1", and I'm about 5'8 3/4, and no one seemed to pass it to me. I don't know why. Anyway, we're probably having drinks at the moment because there is a little bit of a delay.
Degree in basketball?
It's not a degree in basketball. Basketball is part of physical education, Dave. Surely you know this.
A module? Basketball?
A module. It's a module. Yes, it's a module. You know, you're a lecturer. You know about modules. I hope you do, anyway. So yes, that's my argument about basketball. And if is it Barish wants to come back to me on that, I'm more than happy to continue to discuss. Because at the moment, England need a wicket.
Just switching to cricket and England's need for a wicket. We assume Ben Stokes is going to come on to bowl soon. Do you think he's going to go what I called Stokesy line yesterday and go short from round the wicket with catches on the leg side? Do his Neil Wagner impression.
I'm not sure whether it's a bit early for that. I think there's still some shine on the ball. Maybe not a great deal, but there's something still there for all the likes of Wokes. We've seen him getting it to go away from time to time. Didn't seem to be a lot for Curran today. You can never really quantify these things and why they happen. It's just one of those mysteries of the type of ball, its makeup, I suppose, how a particular bowler's feeling on a particular day. We are seeing Stokes slip for best, and he is going through a few exercises, so perhaps he will be on soon. 58 is the number of overs left in the day for England to wrap up these 6 wickets. Can they do it, or will Mash be crying into his D? We shall see. Bess is in, bowls. Very little turn there. Blackwood goes back, forces it away behind square leg. He'll get through for a very comfortable 2. And he's beginning to look good. Is Blackwood 37 or 38? I say beginning to look good. He's looked good throughout. Brooks, who is actually, I think, slightly more attractive player than Blackwood, is much slower. Not much between them, but I think Brooks, there's just something about Brooks that takes my eye more than Blackwood does. And I'm a big fan of Blackwood. He's facing Bess. In he comes. Bowles goes back to this one. Hurried in a little bit in the end. Thought that he could have been forward to that one. He's scratching away at his guard. Yes, Stokes is definitely limbering up at slip, I would say. Maybe he's a bit cool. A little bit of turn there, but nothing extravagant at the moment. Nothing for England to really get their teeth into and feel that they would pick up 3 or 4 wickets at that Dominic Bess's end. This is defended back to the Somerset off-break bowler. And again, Stokes is jumping. He's pogoing now. Pogoing at first slip. And I think he will be into the attack fairly soon. Maybe nipped off for a shower and a fag. That's what he did in the World Cup final, isn't it? Bess in, bowls, and forward comes Blackwood in defence. Ollie Pope comes from short leg to do the fielding. His bowler.
I mean, his hair doesn't appear to be wet, and that would be the world record for a shower.
Yes, so,
Perhaps another bodily function.
Could be. In comes Best. This is turned to mid-wicket by Blackwood. There is no run. Yes, I was reading that a week or so ago. I think it's in the new book about the World Cup final, The Summer, by Nick Holt and another that I can't think of. Nick Holt of The Telegraph. Maybe Steve James. Yes, I think Steve James is involved in that. Bess is in, bowls, defended on the front foot very nicely by Blackwood, and that is the end of the over. Yes, apparently between the end of the game and the super over, he had a quick fag and a shower. I didn't think he had time for that. There you go.
It took a good 20 minutes to get the super over started.
Well, yes, he went there. I was more concerned about having the fag, to be honest. It's a thing I wanted to bring up about, fitness levels of cricketers and whatever, but there have been a lot of cricketers who've smoked, haven't there?
Footballers too. Johan Cruyff and Zinedine Zidane were both big smokers. Anyway, here is I guess he must be the cigarette smoker of the year after his heroics last year from the James Anderson end. Let's play his other jingle.
Ben?
Yes!
Ben Stokes.
Well, he's got an average of 31 with the ball. He's got an average of 38 with the bat. What a performer this man is. 57 overs to go. We shall soon see whether he resorts to the bully boy tactics, the short deliveries from round the wicket. But at the moment, he's over the wicket to Brooks with 3 slips waiting for an edge. He's in, he bowls and dies on its way through to Butler as Brooks shows little interest in it, just 80 miles an hour, a bit of a loosener perhaps. Stokes, he's entitled for that. How do you think his digestion is today, Stokes? Maybe he went off for a Rennie. He had that's where he went off yesterday, wasn't it? Indigestion.
Oh yes, that's right. He was holding his sort of solar plexus region. Yeah, I saw that. But just on his bowling, I mean, one thing that Stokes does also have is he has a big booming in-swinger.
Yes, let's see if we can get that going. He's in, bowls, and forward comes Brooks, a little suspiciously, as if he thought the ball was going to do something untoward as he played that shot. I'm not sure that it did. And I was just about to say, there's a man out there in the crowd in a flat cap, some old lonely fellow.
Compo.
And turns out to be Bumble, sitting up there all on his own. I suppose that after you've had a number of years of Bumble, you would dispense with him and send him up there, I suspect. I don't know why he's rocking that flat cap look these days. Stokes in full. Oh, he's driven at that one. I want to go back to this thing. I saw a discussion on Twitter yesterday when we were talking about players who make things happen, and there were one or two sniffy remarks about that. Oh yes, well, as long as he makes things happen, don't need to look at his stats. Well, he does make things happen, Stokes, and his stats are pretty good too. Yeah. So I think you take both, don't you?
Yeah.
I think there is. I don't think it's a cliche to talk about players that makes things happen, because some of them genuinely do. Stokes in again. Bowls onto the back foot goes Brooks. Looked as if he was trying to turn that into the onside. In the end, prodded it out on the off, and there is no run. 88 for 4. The target is 312.
Yeah, they were calling you a deadpan comedy genius before, wasn't it, Hendo?
Yeah, that's me.
Jeff
Absolutely.
Perkins says, is Hendo a deadpan comedy genius or a bedpan comedy genius?
King of a nursing home.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. And that's one of the best tweets of the day. This is nicely flicked off his hip by Brooks. Behind square leg, retrieved by Pope, and they get through for 2.
And Gits and Grats on the same theme. Hendo being a deadpan comedian, he's certainly looking the spitting image of Richard Herring since lockdown. He's posted a picture of aforementioned Richard Herring since lockdown. It's you, Hendo.
Well, I think it is. I am trying to find ways of flattening it out, because it's getting very, very bulky round the sides. I'm trying to think who I reminded myself of. Not Richard Herring in particular. Stokes in wide of the off-star. Oh, he has a little flash at that, Brooks, unnecessarily really, and he could have got a toe end through the keeper. He's lucky not to. It's the end of Stokes' first over, just the 2 runs from it. The score is 90-4.
Yes, Armchair Cricket Podcast says he can't take his eyes off Blackwood when he's playing against the spinner. No chance of a Brigadier block, a Collingwood from Blackwood. That's certainly the case. Leah, Wicked Witch, has given us posted a photo. My God, if you think there's dwarfish fuckery going on in cricket, get a load of Eddie Gadel. Oh, have a look at that picture on the Twitter.
Yeah, that's quite a famous story. Someone sent out a very, very short, a little person, to basically reduce the strike zone down to basically impossible to hit proportions, and so every ball was it was 4 balls and an instant walk to first base. The practice was shortly banned.
Best starts near over, bowls to Blackwood, who drives very pleasantly, and despite Best putting in the dive, you can't stop that. He has got a long on to prevent that going away for 4, so they just settled for the single. West Indies move to 91 for 4. We should tell you that you can support Guerrilla Cricket if you like our comedy genius, our bedpan humour. Please support us, and I'll tell you how after this delivery from Dominic Bess. Just 2 men round the bat. Nicely stroked by Brooks to extra cover, but straight to him.
Particularly like Brooks against the spinners. He uses that bottom hand really well to just put a little bit of extra power into the shot and guide the ball into the gaps without any real risk.
He's a very nice player to watch, is Brooks. He's in again, bowls, and this one he flicks away to a straightish mid-wicket, and there is no run. You can help us by going to patreon.com, patreon.com/Guerrilla Cricket, 1 R 2 L's, and I will tell you the various ways that you can help us on Patreon. In comes Bears. Oh, he's almost chopped on there. He started to come forward, then seemed to think it's a little bit wide, maybe I'll have a little jab at this, try and get it behind square, but he almost dragged it on. That was dangerous. He got caught in 2 minds, I think, there.
It's taken a little bit out the pitch.
Oh, and the ball came up off the ground and rather smacked poor old Joss Butler in the grill. He was a bit surprised by that. Bess in again, flatter. He gives himself room. Brooks, outside the leg stump, drives to extra cover.
This is a much better length from Dom Bess. It's possibly he dragged it a little bit too much, back a little too much, but it's suddenly turning from that length.
Yeah, it's not the extravagant turn that we saw him with that appeal against Roston Chase.
Oh yeah!
Oh, now that's another good ball, because that one he did play for some turn that wasn't there. Taken by Butler, and that is the end of the over, 91-4. You can help us by going to patreon.com/Guerrilla Cricket. If you give us $2 a month, it is a monthly pledge we ask from you, you get our undying gratitude, and that is not to be sniffed at. If you give us $10 or more a month, which helps greatly, you will go on the roll of honour that goes around our YouTube, Hot Mic. Does it go on Hot Mic?
Yeah.
Hot Mic, YouTube and Facebook. So you can see your name in lights for, I don't know, how many times a day would your name be seen, do you think?
Several dozen, I would think.
I would think so. So, yes, you get that. You get the honour of being a named Guerrilla Cricket supporter.
We've also, for a limited time only, we've got T-shirts to give away for new $10 patrons.
We have. We've got one of these T-shirts that I'm wearing. You won't have to wear mine, obviously. Stokes in, bowls outside your stump, and left alone. Through the keeper it goes. I don't know if I can bring it down. I don't really want to expose you to too much of my body. But there it is. That's the old Guerrilla style shirt, being held up now by Knackle. So if you're watching us on any of those platforms, you'll be able to see that. And if you give us $10 or more, you get one of those T-shirts for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, or this one, the We Believe in a Bigger World Cup T-shirt, which was so good the ICC tried to shut us down for it.
Yep, it's a beautiful piece of work. In comes Stokes, bowls, up onto his toes goes Blackwood, defends into the covers, and there is no run.
Yeah,
sorry. 91. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, Sidra. Go on, who?
Come on, someone speak. Speak.
Sidra, the designer of those T-shirts, is a friend of our former commentator Taz, and she did a wonderful job with it.
Yeah, it's very nice indeed. It's superb. It's based on the idea of us wanting more teams than the World Cup. So the World Cup actually falls off the T-shirt, as it were. So it's oh, he's had a drive at that as Blackwood, and he's beaten by it, and then he stands there leaning on his bat thinking, what on earth was I doing there? Meanwhile, I can tell you that Bumble is looking at the trams. He's looking at the trams There have always been trams or trains at Old Trafford, and he's very happily leaning over the back of that. He's got a cameraman with him, and they're looking at the trams. Have you never seen a tram before? Maybe he's a tram spotter. I don't know.
They're not hard to spot.
They're not hard to spot, but you have to go out the back and then look down at them at Old Trafford. There used to be a railway running at the bottom of that, but I think it's been changed to a tram network. This is defended on the front foot. Good probing ball around about middle and off, and the ball runs up to mid-on.
Bumble really is just auditioning for a reboot of Last of the Summer Wine, isn't he?
Oh, can you imagine him in that? I never liked Last of the Summer Wine. Maybe the humour was too northern for me. Do you think there's a north-south divide in regards to things, certain comedies?
Maybe. Thing is, I don't know anyone who actually likes it, but it was the longest-running sitcom in the world.
Exactly. It's about Like My Family that loads of people seem to love. In he comes, bowls to Blackwood, hurries in, but he's going to get a single because he's placed that nicely into the offside between the extra and the cover. And he moves on to 39 from 49. Just been slowed down a little bit in the last 15 minutes. Brooks is on 23. Score is 92 for 4, and we should be getting ready for a change fairly soon. In fact, if we've got people ready, I'm ready to skip off at the end of this over, which is one ball away.
Yeah, John's going to take over ball by ball.
Can I just get some tweets in once you finish the next ball?
You certainly can. I'll hand straight to you, David. Here comes Stokes. Into Brooks. Brooks tucks away on the onside. Certainly going to get one. It might be a bit risky to go to. Ollie Pope was kind of looking back as he ran to see whether he could fool them into taking one too many, but in the end they got through comfortably. It's 94 for 4. The target's 312, and after Dave with some tweets, it will be John Baden.
Yeah, Ravi Nair says, I think Gorilla Hendo is not so much deadpan comedy genius, but a cat litter comedy genius. Mike Mealwood talks about baseball, other old school baseball behaviours that you might enjoy. Doc Ellis pitching a perfect game on LSD, and a raft of 80s players sliding for bases backwards so as not to break the cocaine vials in their pockets. Leah's on the similar theme. Every baseball player chewed tobacco in the 80s. Tons of players consumed immense amounts of nose candy. Jeff Perkins, it was brilliant how those remainder copies of Hendo's books were used to promote feline literacy, albeit requiring that they be shredded.
Well, thank you, David. 94 for 4. Dominic Bess has started a new over. First ball was just played quietly back to the bowler. Bess is already in again, and this one is played out on the leg side. Short leg went diving for the ball, but I think it was out of harm's way. Let's have a look on the replay. Yeah, it was down into the ground and well wide of Ollie Pope. Here is Bess again, and again this is turned round the corner, but there's a fielder just backward of square. Again, there's no run. They really need to work at drying Blackwood up a little bit, don't they, David? Oh, Mr. Brooks has gone. He's left us. I thought David was staying with us.
I misread the rotors. I didn't think I was. Didn't realise I was on. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Here is Dominic Bess. Not found a consistent length yet. Here he is again, past the umpire, and again this is turned round on the leg side, and this time it's beaten man at backward of square, and he's jogged back to field it, and a couple of runs.
What was your question, John? Because I missed that.
Well, I was saying that they really need to just try and dry Blackwood up a little bit.
Yeah, he's looking much better than Brooks. Brooks looks like he's trying to get himself out a few times, but Blackwood's got some point to being there. He has a plan. I don't know. Shamar Brooks seems to lose concentration every so often and just play a poor shot.
Here's Bess again into Blackwood. Oh, that's too short, and that's pulled away through mid-wicket, but there's a man out there, so it's just one. 97 for 4.
Some England fans might be saying, where's Graham Swan when you need him?
Well, yeah, Bess just doesn't seem to have found a consistent length or rhythm at all in this spell so far. What's being said on social media, Mash?
Right, yeah, so Mike Wood says, other old school baseball behaviours that Knackle might enjoy are Doc Ellis pitching a perfect game on LSD and a raft of 80s players sliding for bases backwards so as not to break the cocaine vials in their pockets. Nia says, every baseball player chewed tobacco. And in the 80s, oh no, I think we had that one actually, apologies. People, I think I may have reread one there.
Yeah, the geese.
Right. Leah says, what are West Indies doing? With the overs left, they'll never win this with that run rate.
But are they trying to win it though?
No, but what I would say is, and I said it the last time I was on comms, that I know Leah's joking. One second.
Here is Stokes, and that one's quite short, and Blackwood rocks back and plays it down on the offside, no run.
So Leah's obviously having a bit of a joke there, but Jermaine Blackwood has played a brilliant innings for me because he came in.
Yeah.
He's played his natural game. He's not done anything out of the ordinary. He's actually he's normal. He's hit shots which for Jermaine Blackwood are normal cricket shots. He's an attacking batsman. He saw that the side was bogged down, came out and said, well, let me give England something to think about. And when Jermaine Blackwood plays proper cricket shots, he's a very hard batsman to stop.
Here's Stokes again, trying to stop him. He's in and he bowls, and that's a little bit too wide, and it's driven through cover. And running back, I think that's Wokes running back to field, and Blackwood's gone through for 3, I think.
Yeah, on cue there after Mashrell's comments, Blackwood played a sumptuous drive through the covers. He really has looked good, and he's overtaken Brooks, but not just overtaken Brooks, he's sort of looked a lot more convincing, and really playing a little gem for an innings. I agree, Mash.
How expensive is that decision not to review the Brooks dismissal in quotes going to turn out to be? I wonder. Here's Stokes again, in and bowls to Brooks, who just stands tall and plays this out on the leg side. No run.
Well, what I found weird about not reviewing that, because obviously I was watching whilst you lot were commentating on it, and I couldn't work out what he thought it had hit instead. To me, it was obvious that it must have hit well. So I was really surprised they didn't go for it.
Yeah, it seemed to be a sort of strangled appeal, and then they talked themselves out of it. I'm not quite sure what happened. Here's Stokes again. That's a bumper. And Brooks just ducks underneath it through to Butler.
Knackle says the glove may have been off the bat handle, so actually I may need to watch that again to have a keener inspection of that incident.
Yes, in which case it would have been given not out. But England definitely in need of a breakthrough at this point. Other
a lot of overs.
Incident, they've not really looked like getting a wicket. Here's Stokes, that's too wide. No shot offered through to Butler.
Yeah, I think Brooks has looked close to getting out a couple of times, John. I mean, he's played and missed a couple of times outside there. And do you think England are really worried? They've got quite a lot of overs still left, and it's not. It's just that I think that what they're missing is a really penetrating, spinner to really, rack pressure up.
Well, this is where you would probably rather have Leach rather than Bess, but there we are. Here's Stokes again, and that's a little bit closer to the stumps, but still no shot from Brooks. That's the end of the over. Number 8 from 3 overs for Stokes, 100 for 4. Mesh.
Yes. Neymar Butlin says, I'm still on top of the mountain in Utah. There's only one spot at the campsite where your broadcast comes in. I call it Gorilla Hill.
Very good.
Andrew Veer says, I believe Cruyff died of lung cancer. Might not be true or have basis in reality, but that doesn't seem to matter nowadays. Not sure what that's in reference to, but indeed.
That was to do with people with sportsmen smoking, because we thought that Stokes might have nipped off for a quick fag. Earlier. I believe that's what that was about.
Chops says, are you covering the Ireland ODI games?
We are.
Guerrilla Cricket indeed are covering the island. You must think this summer of cricket is going away. Guerrilla Cricket will be there for all of it.
It just got a bit longer, didn't it, with the announcement yesterday of the Australia one-day series in September as well, Mash?
It's going to go on and on.
They confirm that now?
Yeah, it's confirmed. Yeah.
Go on and on, and we're going to be here.
3 T20s and 3 ODIs.
Here's Dominic Bess again into Blackwood, who just props forward and plays it down to forward short leg. A run.
John, I just wanted to find out from you guys what you thought of Shea Hope's dismissal today. You know, was it unlucky to be one that shot along the ground, or do you think he should have been on the front foot to that?
That one's turned around the corner to backward square. See, when I first saw it in fast motion, I thought it had scuttled along the ground, David, but looking at it again, it appears to have hit the top of off.
Yeah. Oh, right.
And so I'm not sure that Shea had got himself into a terribly good position to play the ball, actually.
That's the key for me. I think a lot of people are saying there's nothing he could have done about it, but look at the position he ends up in when the wicket comes, and that says to me that he was never in the right position to play the first, whether it nipped back or not.
Here's Bess.
Out.
And again played to forward short. Carry on, Mash. That was a good point.
Yeah, so I just his form's out, his luck's out. Yes, it was a delivery, but if he's in form, he finds a way somehow to deal with that.
I agree. Here's Bess again. A bit more air. Played straight back to him by Blackwood. No run.
Yeah, Toby Radford sent us a message earlier to say, the former batting coach, Hope looks like he's still worried about the short ball and getting done by, and therefore thinking back and getting done by full balls, by the fuller ball.
Yeah, I think that's right. That one spits a little bit at Blackwood, but he manages to keep the hands out of the way, and it sort of rolls up the pad, back down again. No run.
The next time you have Toby on talking to him, I'd love you and him to get into a dissection of John Campbell and Shea Hope's struggles in general.
Well, should we see if we can get him back, Matt? If you stay, would you be able to stay on for tea and have a chat with him?
If he does come on, I would love to get into a dissection of it. But anyways, Brian Barish says, no, sorry, not Brian Barish, sorry. Where are we? Oh, there's a lot of inter-chat going on. So actually, never mind me. And lots of you are tweeting, I think they're inter-chats with the Guerrilla Cricket handle. But Brian Barish does say, I need all of you to keep me company at work for the next couple of months. So more cricket is good for me.
Here's Stokes. He's in and he bowls to Brooks, who plays that out on the leg side. They scamper through for a run. It's 101 for 4.
Good question here from Adelaide Barnes. He says, is Bess a wicket-taking bowler as opposed to Leach? Or he says Marino, but I'm sure he must mean... Who's Marino? Does he mean mowing? So
maybe he does.
Jose.
Yeah.
Can't be Jose.
As opposed to Leach or Moeen. So yeah, is Bess a wicket-taking bowler for you two? Do you think he offers that wicket-taking free?
Well, I mean, I don't rate him as highly as Roston Chase. I picked Chase up. The combined 11 of the spinner, I'd have Chase in before Bess. You?
I think Leach is more likely to take wickets from an English perspective. I was going to say the only person called Marino that I remember, and I'm dating myself here, is from World of Sport wrestling days. An Italian-American, I think. Italian-American heavyweight called Mike Marino. Gosh, I am old. Dear me. Anyway, it's Stokes to continue.
Going for the short ball approach.
Driving for this breakthrough. He's in, and it is a short ball, and Blackwood ducks in such a way that he almost sits on the ground in avoiding that. Yeah, he was virtually on the floor avoiding that one. And he left the bat virtually straight up as well. I'm not sure of the wisdom of that leave really, but it was very much up periscope. Got away with it. Here's Stokes again. He's in, and that's another short ball, and Blackwood flinches, but it goes over his shoulder, just down the leg side, taken by Butler. No run. Are we about to see the more pitched up delivery here, gents, I wonder?
Well, the Stokes spell was a spell I was worried about taking place, because once we got over the new ball barrage, I thought, okay, batting will definitely become easier for West Indies, but Stokes is a partnership breaker, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, very much so. And that's what England are relying on here. They certainly need a wicket at this stage. Here's Stokes in again. That's again back of a length, really. Blackwood goes back and sort of chops it out on the offside.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious what's going on here. There's men back on the hook. There's 2 men back at third man, and you've got leg side catches as well. So it's clear what the plan of action is going to be.
Is there going to be a bluff though with a fuller ball, you wonder?
Well, the thing is, they know what Blackwood's like. They know that Blackwood won't be afraid to take something on. So
yeah, exactly.
Let's see.
Again, that was short of a length, but Blackwood played that well. He played that in front of square. Again, no run.
The question is whether Blackwood has a temperament to see that there's a plan here. Will he fall into the trap? The trap is set. But then, as you say, John, is this simply a ploy to then get him?
Well, you just wonder whether there's going to be a slightly fuller ball for that drive that he doesn't quite go over the top of. That's what I'm wondering. Here's Stokes again. No, this is short again, and he's played that beautifully. He's gone back, stood tall, and played it back down the pitch. That's the end of the over, I think.
Yeah, breaking news from the ICC, and that is the T20 has been postponed. That's the ICC T20 that was scheduled for September. I think we all were kind of just waiting for the official announcement then. So now it's a question of the IPL. Knuckle, any announcement on the IPL yet? Is that also an ICC decision or a BCCI decision?
Last I heard, they want that to happen in UAE. Whether that's what happens in the end, you know. I do not see them cancelling it, put it that way.
I think the cancelling of the World T20 was inevitable. I think if you can't be sure that you can have crowds, what's the point of having a tournament of that magnitude? Here is Dominic Bess in again to Brooks, who lets that one go. That turns a fraction. Goes over the top of off.
That was a better ball there, John. I remember Graham Swan, saying about the pressure that he felt on the 5th day of a match. The pressure on a spinner to take wickets. That wasn't too far away at all. That one.
No, it was not. That was that. Let's call it a good leave for the time being. Let's see what happens now. Here's Dominic Bess again. He's in, and Brooks just sort of props forward and plays it out on the offside.
Yeah, Brooks got himself into a bit of a rut, hasn't he? Just needs to free himself up a little bit from that.
Yeah, definitely, David. Totally agree. He's bogged down.
Well, he needs to be, even if he's not scoring, he needs to be positive in defence, doesn't he? He's not come forward or back to that, really, and just played it out on the square on the offside. And with Blackwood scoring runs at the other end, that's not so much of an issue, but you need to be positive in your movements, and he does look a little bit stuck. He's driven this one though down to mid-on. Wokes threw the ball back in, but they scampered through for 1. That takes Brooks to 27, 102 for 4.
Bear said at the start of this session that he wanted at least 2 wickets. So far it's been 1, and actually if West Indies can scramble their way to tea with just 1 down, they'd fancy themselves to save it.
Yeah, I agree. I think England need 1 more. I'm with Bear. I think they need at least 1 more. Long on went deeper for Blackwood, and so therefore he played an easy single to that last ball.
I mean, it's a very long last session though, Mash, isn't it?
Yes, I was literally, as I finished that's what went on in my head next.
Bess bowls, that's a poor delivery. It's turned round the corner, and there's a slight fumble by Broad backward of square.
Made up for it though, Broady, didn't he? He sort of clambered on his hands and knees to retrieve the ball.
To scramble the ball back in and prevent the single. 103 for 4 at the end of that over.
Without tempting fate, how many wickets can... So let's say this is a scenario. how many wickets can the West Indies say, no, you can't force a result, so we're not taking any extra play? Or are we just playing till 7 and that's the end of that?
Well, we have to play the overs.
Oh yeah, we have to play the overs.
We have to play the overs, so that's
actually that's not even in the equation. Really.
So that's not in the equation this time. But I'm still with Bear. I think England need another wicket before tea.
Just a couple of tweets. Steve Kellett says quite a few of the England team are one set of ill-advised sideburns away from not looking out of place on the 1970s highlights video.
Very good. I like that one. Here's Stokes again. He's in and he bowls, and that is pulled away to deep backward square, where I think Wokes comes in and throws the ball back in. The ball seems to be following Wokes around the field at the moment.
A lot of protection back there, of course. That's the field being placed.
Yeah, certainly for Blackwood, absolutely. He's gone to 47 now, just 3 short of another Test half-century. Certainly seems to like playing against England. There's Jermaine. Brings Brooks back onto strike. What's Stokes got up his sleeve for Brooks in this over, I wonder? He's at the top of his run and he's turned and come in again past the umpire and bowls, and Brooks has played that nicely. He's stood up tall, just turned it round the corner. Quite risky. No run though. He did have 1 or 2 flashes, as you say, David, outside off stump earlier on, but it's quite a pleasing batsman to watch, isn't he?
No, that's the thing. The frustrating thing about Brooks, he is very pleasing to watch. Yeah, it's just his inability to put together a lot of decent innings consistently. It's always been his failing. Why he hasn't played for West Indies before now.
Here's Stokes again, and that one's off the edge, but it's wide of third slip. It's running down to third man, but it's been hauled in and turn for 2.
I mean, you get into a stylish players list, but if you look at actually his performances with the bat for Barbados, there's not a compelling case there over the last 10 years. Seeing that length of time he's played for them, but in a way, he's experiencing international cricket kind of at a delay, late on, and therefore probably really relishing it. And we're seeing the best of him, in this series so far for sure.
Here he is again facing Stokes, who bowls a short one and he ducks underneath it through to Butler.
And also I'd add to that, Dave, by just saying that he's new to international. As you say, he's new to cricket. Debuted against India of all teams at home. Made 50 in that essential destruction of a series. Made 100 against Afghanistan, and is actually probably after Brathwaite, Blackwood, Chase. He's got more competent than some of the six. So,
yeah, his game might be better suited, if you like, for the international game. Because he's got good temperament.
Here's Stokes again. He's in, and again that's turned onto the leg side. Mid-on has to come round towards mid-wicket to field, and they're through for another run, which takes Brooks to 30. 107 for 4.
There's one more ball.
There is one more ball in the over. There doesn't seem to be an awful lot happening here for England. The ball's obviously got a little bit older. Doesn't seem to be any sign of any reversing or anything of that nature. So just hard toil at the moment. Here's Stokes again. He's in, and that's sort of swatted away by Blackwood down to fine leg. It's another single. Takes Blackwood to 48. 108 for 4 at the end of the over.
Thank you to Hannah, who's our latest Patreon, who's very kindly subscribed. Don't forget, thanks to Hannah, that you can subscribe to Guerrilla Cricket. Just a couple of dollars a month will get you regular donate. Is the price for regular donation, and we got T-shirts to give away for is that for the $10 patrons? Now, the $10 patrons, those are the T-shirts as well. So do your bit to support Guerrilla. and so that we can keep the coverage free for everyone all over the world. This coverage not geo-blocked, so people listening to us all over the world.
Tweet from Neymar Buttons. He says, everything you need to know about bad baseball behaviour is in the book Ball 4. After this book, many players had to sign non-disclosure contracts in Major League Baseball.
Here is Dominic Bess into Blackwood, who drives that back to the bowler, and Bess misfields it, which enables Blackwood to come through for a single as mid-off mops up. 109 for 4. He's just completely missed the ball there, Bess. This is too full, and it's driven away. It's a beautiful shot. He's absolutely creamed that through the covers for one of these.
And if you kids can't listen, then you bound to see the way you get shot for crossing a boundary, crossing a boundary.
Less than 200 now, Mash.
Let's not talk about that.
That's a poor delivery again from Bess. It was far too full. Enabled Brooks to just hit through the ball. Not bowled well in this spell. Not bowled well for me. In again. Into Brooks. That's a bit better. A bit better length. He just props forward and plays it out on the offside.
Well, he's
Joe Root, would you be tempted to give yourself a little go before tea?
I was literally just about to say that, John. Bess isn't answering enough questions here.
No. I agree. And, that's an interesting delivery, though. That was a strange one. Just seemed to be quite full, and I think Brooks played inside it. Can he produce another ball like that, though? Can he get them on a consistent length? No, he's just bowled one that's right up in the slot, and Brooks has hammered it back over Betty's head, and it's a maximum.
Oh, I say, chap, give me any lip.
That seemed to come out of nowhere. Again, it was given a bit more air by Bess, but not that much more. And very decisive shot from Brooks. Foot down and right the way through with a beautiful follow through. It went very, very straight indeed for the maximum. Yeah. No, I think Roston Chase, this puts Roston Chase's performance in a better light, actually, because he did ask questions all the way through. People were never able to do that to him,
No, I agree. Here is Bess again. It's bowls, and that one's fuller, and it's turned round the corner. Fielded at short leg. Another pretty ordinary over from Dominic Bess. 119 for 4.
Over on Crit Tracker, just hello to Malik, Michael Swanson still with us, Victor Vincent Vicky. He says, he's basically saying to us, West Indies only need 211 runs. Well, it's less now from when you message. 193 runs in how many overs have we got remaining? 47? 193 and 47. Gents, I'm not by any means suggesting West Indies go for it. But it is.
But I sort of am, he says.
I'm just saying it's doable.
This is what Bear was saying to us earlier, wasn't it, Matt? He was saying if a couple of players get in, particularly Blackwood, and I think you made the point on the Caribbean Cricket podcast, the only way West Indies are going to win this is if Blackwood really gets going, because he's the only one who can score quickly enough, and he is there, and he's on 49.
Here we go. Here's Stokes in again and bowls, and Blackwood ducks underneath that and lets it go through to Butler. But I mean, I think England always had to be in a position where it was going to be possible for the West Indies to win if they batted out the overs, because they had to give themselves enough overs to bowl the West Indies out, because there was no point in England playing for a draw. So there was always the possibility that they would get close, and they'll get a lot closer if Bess bowls more overs of dross like that last one.
We have a shot at gully and 2 back on the hook.
Here's Stokes again, and that makes Blackwood hot, and he tries to play the ball down. I'd like to know how close short leg was to that.
That was the effort ball from Stokes. He got extra height, really got big on Blackwood, did his best to keep it down, and he did well actually.
It's well wide of Hope at short leg. He fields it well, but that was well played by Blackwood.
He ended up played
it well. Good innings from Jermaine Blackwood again. Here's Stokes in again, bowls, and again that's quite short from Stokes. Blackwood fends it off, and short leg fields once more. No run.
Stokes bowled like this in the first innings, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't he go right round the wicket for like 11 overs in a row or something like that?
Yeah, correct.
Blackwood so far hasn't looked like he's prepared to fall into the trap, but is this designed to get a wicket, or is it designed to just stop?
Maybe it's just designed to dry him up and try and frustrate him.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's the plan. Here's Stokes again, and that's very short, and that's fended off on the offside this time. I still wonder. I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to dry him up by bowling short. I'm still wondering whether it's worth giving him a full ball now that he's expecting a short one, just to see if he mistimes a drive or something of that nature.
Yeah, because he's yet to do anything other than it's been short ball up. What's body line? Short ball after short ball after short ball.
And if you know that's coming, then you've got a methodology for dealing with it. If you know nothing else is coming, then you're going to deal with that. So has Stokes got a different trick up his sleeve now that he's forced him back into the stumps? Here he comes again, he bowls. No, that's really short. Blackwood ducks, lets it go through to Butler. So, yeah, a containing over thus far from Stokes, but not really looking like it's threatening Blackwood's wicket.
Well, there's this view that I've heard a lot, and particularly propounded in Caribbean media, that West Indies don't play the short ball well. Yeah, it's come from that tour of New Zealand when Neil Wagner did so much damage.
Here is Stokes again, and another very short ball that Blackwood just ducks underneath, lets it go through. Yeah, a containing but fairly innocuous over from Stokes, 119 for 4.
Some tweets. Bear with me. Leah says the bowler informs the umpire that he will bowl right arm around onto the right hander. The umpire communicates this to the batsman thusly: "Change of plan, son. Time for some body line."
Well, that certainly seems to be what he's bowling, but there were several in that over which were too short to be even that, because they weren't really in at the body at all. They were just easy to duck out the way of. So
a couple of people, Anna Forsyth and Adler.
Here's Bess, that's too short, and it's cut away to the fielder in the deep for a single by Brooks. Joe Root is obviously seeing something, David, about Bess's spell that I'm missing.
Well, he's always reluctant. He's slightly reluctant to bring himself on. I agree that he should have brought himself on by now.
Here's Bess. He's lost his run altogether this time, and has to start again. Yeah, I really don't know what Bess's plan is here. He doesn't appear to have one. Here he is again. He's in, and there's a muted shout for LBW. But yeah, pitched. I think it's hitting well outside, isn't it?
Well, he got bat on it as well, to be honest.
At least that was a ball vaguely in the right area. Let's see if he does get bat on it. Yeah, yes. He does. Yeah. There's a big inside edge into the pad. But that's the right kind of length. That one he just props forward and plays it back down the onside of the pitch. No run. Bess again. Wheels into Blackwood, who pushes down the ground,
50.
and that will be 50. That will be the single he needs for 50.
50 runs.
Very good effort.
Your 50 runs will done, well done, well done, well done. 50 runs, your 50 runs. The job is only just begun.
Well, that would definitely be true if the West Indies are going to. Well, here's Bess again. I'll finish that thought in a minute, and that's driven down past mid-on to the man in the deep for another single for Brooks. Runs coming comfortably with no pressure at all at the moment.
I mean, the difference between the two teams has been that two England players went on to score big centuries, and that's what these two have obviously got to do now to save this match.
Bess in again. That's driven up to short mid-on. No run.
You know, they've got to bat long. It's not enough to get out now. If Brooks and Blackwood get out in the 50s or 60s, they won't have done enough to save the game. They're going to need to bat, most of the way through this match.
122 for 4 at the end of that over. Any more messages, Mash?
Indeed. We've got two from Adelaide Barmies and Anna Forsyth, both arguing the case about Bess that you're arguing. They're both effectively saying, don't be afraid, Joe Root. Joe Root probably should bowl himself here, but he won't. Wait for him to bring himself on when the game calls for Wokes later on. But both essentially saying Bess needs to come out of the attack.
Yeah, I don't see much point to him being in the attack at the moment. He's not stemming runs, and he doesn't look like getting a wicket. So, if you're not achieving either of those things, then for me, why are you bowling? Well, Stokes is going to continue. Are we just going to see another barrage of short stuff, we wonder? But he's bowling to Brooks on this occasion. He's round the wicket and in, and that's another very short ball. I'm not sure what Brooks was trying to do with that. It was almost as if he thought about uppercutting it and then thought maybe that's not a very good idea, and he got out of the way. But very strange.
I mean, that again is a lapse. It's a lapse of concentration, isn't it? When he realised what he was doing and pulled out. But
I mean, why?
No way he should have been
chasing
chasing after that.
Context?
Yeah, no way he chased after that.
And where are we? Sort of 15 minutes before tea. And here's Stokes again. Well, that's really short and ducked under by Brooks. Through to Butler, no run. Again, I'm slightly mystified by this tactic from Stokes now, really, because he just seems to be bowling shorter and shorter and shorter. He's very nearly hit his own toes with that last delivery.
I mean, did it in the first innings. It's the same strategies in the first innings. You know, it dried up the runs, and then we saw Broad coming in and taking those wickets. So it was the turning point, because before that, Brooks and Brathwaite had been scoring very freely.
Here's Stokes again. That one is chopped down into the gully. No run.
You know, and obviously he did get the wicket of Brathwaite in the caught and bowled from a consistent short ball. You know, he forced the batsman back, and then they're more vulnerable to the full pitched swinging ball from Wokes or Broad or even from Stokes himself.
But that would make sense if there was another seamer coming on at the end. It's just Bess giving up free runs.
Giving easy runs, yeah. Here's Stokes in again, and again that's way short and just ducked underneath by Brooks. The last 20 minutes has been baffling cricket from England in my view. Absolutely baffling cricket. Nonsense, in fact.
I thought they were bowling short because they were worried that Jermaine Blackwood might score too quickly and give West Indies a chance of running the score down. But
then surely that's the way you get Blackwood out, isn't it? That's again far too short, ducked underneath by Brooks.
Because right now, Brooks and Blackwood are happy to just duck under these balls.
Yeah.
They're probably wishing Stokes continues like this for the rest of the match.
Well, exactly, because they don't have to play a shot. They don't have to play a shot if they don't want to. I mean, they must be gambling on the fact that Blackwood's going to play a shot eventually because he won't be able to help himself. But I don't know. This doesn't make any sense to me at all. Here's Stokes again, and that's slightly fuller, but it's turned round on the leg side, and square leg runs back and throws it in. Yeah, 2 above the shoulder for the over already from Stokes, so he's got to bowl a bit fuller now. So he can't produce, in a sense, the short ball. 124 for 4. Yeah, I just don't understand England's tactics at this point at all. If anyone can explain to me what we're actually bowling for, then I'm open to suggestions. But to me, this is nonsense, bordering on dross, frankly.
There's about maybe 2 or 3 overs before tea,
and we're still seeing Dominic Bess in. And forward comes Blackwood and plays that one back down the pitch. No run. You just settle for Best bowling an over where he puts 6 balls in the same place, really. But he hasn't managed it yet. If I carry on like this, I'm going to have Annie Chave messaging in saying, "Leave Dom alone," but that one's reasonably full. It's driven down to deep mid on. It's a single. Takes Blackwood to 51, 125 for 4.
I mean, I sense a little bit of frustration from you, John, and I can understand it. Best hasn't really risen to the occasion, has he? Needed something special from him today.
Not at all. Here he is again. He's in, and that one's just played back along the pitch. It's just frustration because we don't seem to be bowling to try and get people out. We don't seem to be able to bowl. Best doesn't seem to be able to bowl tidily. So I'm not quite sure what the plan is. This one's wristily turned onto the leg side. Fielder coming round, throws back in, but they've scampered back for 2. 127 for 4.
I mean, from a West Indies point of view, the discipline that Blackwood's shown in this innings, and Brooks most of the time as well, it'll be a boost. Certainly putting together a very, very decent partnership here.
That's a glorious hit. Wow. Well, in actual fact, the fielder coming around nearly caught it in the end, but I think he's harried it over the top for 6, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
Harried it over the top.
I believe in miracles. Since you came to bat, you sexy thing, you. I believe in miracles. Since you came out to bat, you sexy thing.
Yeah, it was over his head, wasn't it? It may have got.
It was over his head.
Maybe a fingertip. Maybe a fingertip. But it was well over his head.
But that's taken Brooks to 50 back.
50 runs. 50 runs. The job is only just begun.
Here's Bess again. This one is played down at his feet by Brooks. No run.
Do you know what? I just want to add something before. Over on Crick Tracker, Santosh says West Indies are going to win by 3 wickets. I'd love to know what CrickViz says. I would assume West Indies can't be on 0% anymore. We might even be up to 6% chance of winning from here. But just to clarify, I'm happy with the draw. But I do wonder, David, in particular, if this rear guard action here from Brooks and Blackwood again shows how much the West Indies benefited from being here for 4 weeks. Because I'm adamant, in normal circumstances, we'd be all out by now, or we would have collapsed quite significantly.
Yeah, the preparation has been pretty much ideal, hasn't it, to have such a big group of players together for that length of time. But do you not think they're getting more resilient than they have done over the last couple of years?
Here's Stokes again, and that one is again quite short, and it's played back.
Oh, Stokes is having to do his own chasing.
Through the vacant mid-off area. Stokes is chasing it all the way back to the boundary. Thinks he stops it, throws it back in.
If ever a sequence of demonstrated everything about Ben Stokes, I actually just think that was it. Like
that was just like one man superhero, wasn't it? He just suddenly thought, bugger, there's no mid-off. I've got to run back and field my own bowling, and he chased it all the way to the boundary.
I got up in the
I think after all that, it might be 4 anyway, but
he called me a
I think it might be 4 anyway. Yes, it is.
if I'd
His hand has touched the boundary
only
rope, I think. I think it would be given as 4.
Ben Stokes was so mean. And
I think all that effort was for nothing, because I think it counted as 4. Here's Stokes again, bowls, and Blackwood stands up and plays it back to the bowler.
I dare anyone to watch that, whether tonight or find the clip, and not love Ben Stokes and say what a brilliant cricketer.
That was an epic moment, because there was definitely a point where he wanted to be annoyed about the fact that he hadn't fielded it in the first place, and then thought, "Let's throw it off. I've got to chase it back," and did so all the way to the fence.
Great commitment.
Here he is again into Blackwood, and that's too short and through to Butler.
Every fan loves a futile gesture like that from Ben Stokes.
That was epic, wasn't it? Really, that was epic.
You know, the fact that it was in vain makes it even better.
Yeah.
That he didn't actually save a run. Give him a medal. Oh, he's got one.
Root is beginning to look a troubled man. He's seeing this series slipping away at this point, but he's not doing much about it because he's not making a bowling change. Here is Stokes again into Blackwood, who swats that, and Butler's come round. He's caught it. He's caught it.
And worked.
The short ball has finally paid off for Ben Stokes on the stroke of tea as well.
Yeah, Blackwood was drawn into that. So Ben Stokes, what a great effort. He comes with that wicket out of nowhere, again into the ribs of Blackwood, who for once just sort of helped it on rather than getting out of the way of it. And great catch from Joss Butler. He judged it well and
Sort of
dived
fly
through.
swatted it, didn't he? He just didn't get himself in a good position, and fly swatted it, and he's gone. I wonder if that will be tea. I wonder if they'll take tea on that dismissal, because we were almost at tea anyway. Yes, we're coming off for tea. So England get a crucial breakthrough on the stroke of tea. 137 for 5 as the players troop off. So Bear said we needed 2 wickets by tea, and we've actually got them. Stand of exactly 100 between that pair. But how frustrated will Blackwood be about that?
Well, I said before, John, that it's not enough to have a score of 50 in these circumstances. It's not enough. There's a lot of time left in this game, and they really needed Blackwood and Brooks to stay together for at least another hour after tea, because there's a lot more cricket to be played. And you've got potentially another how many overs are there to go? There's 43 overs, so it's a long time to go, and England will still fancy their chances of getting through these last wickets. So a lot of work still to do for the West Indies here. What do you say, Mash?
You summed it up perfectly. As when Jermaine Blackwood got his 50, I said good knock, but plenty more work to do. And we said why was Stokes doing body line, and we argued that it would be to try and draw Blackwood in, and right on the stroke of tea, he draws Blackwood into the shot. So, I mean, I don't want to sound despondent, because all is not lost. Dowrich has shown already in this series he can dig in. His form over the last 2 years shows he can dig in. I think they'll pepper him with the short ball as well. Jason hasn't shown up with the bat, but he can obviously bat, as can Alzari. It's an intriguing session awaiting us post tea.
Indeed. Let's just go through. Can I just go through, John, the facts and figures there of what we've just seen? Let's take it back to the start. Campbell was first to go. Caught Butler bowled Broad. Brathwaite LBW bowled Wokes 12. Shea Hope bowled Broad 7. Brooks is there 52 not out. Roston Chase was LBW Broad 6. Jermaine Blackwood just then out. Caught Butler bowled Stokes for 55. That's 1-3-7 for 5. Let's take a look at the bowling figures of the England team. Stuart Broad with an important 3 wickets to add to his 3 in the first innings. 10 overs, 3 for 25. Chris Wokes, 11 overs, 1 for 26. Sam Curran, just 4 overs for 22. No wickets. Dominic Best, 10 overs, no wicket for 43. And Ben Stokes, he's just summed up a wicket out of nothing there. 7.4 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 20. 137 for 5. West Indies still with a lot of work to do. Their target was 312. That's academic. The question is, can they bat for another 41, 42 and a half overs? That is the question.
Yeah, we're basically literally just over the halfway point of the innings, aren't we? We've had 42 and some, and we've got 42 and some left. So, yeah, I mean that wicket makes it a long last session for the West Indies now. But you know, as Mash has said, they've got Dowrich, they've got Holder. Alzari Joseph has shown that he can stick around in Test cricket as well. So
yeah, if the skipper was in better form, I would be more confident from West Indies' point of view. It's just, you know, Jason's looked really out of touch, hasn't he, with the bat? So he hasn't obviously had an innings on this tour yet, and it'll be interesting to see whether he can summon one up when it's needed most. But it wouldn't be past him to do that, just like we've seen an heroic effort from Ben Stokes throughout this match. You wouldn't put it past Jason Holder to dig deep. He's not going to give this game away for nothing, is he? You can imagine him digging deep and providing some support. Lot riding on the next partnership.
Well, I mean that's the difficulty that you have in a series like this, isn't it? That if you're not making runs in a Test match, it's not as if you can say, oh, we've got a couple of games against the counties coming up, so I'll play myself into a little bit of form. You're straight into another Test match, and so you've got to find it from somewhere, and there are no rehearsals, as it were.
No, indeed. I mean, yeah, the nets, net sessions are never a substitute, are they? But I mean, I guess Shea Hope would be the big disappointment there. That and the dismissal of Brathwaite. This was the innings where Shea Hope had to come to the party. Master, you'd already given up on him, you said, before this innings had even started.
Yes, before he came to bat, I said I'm done with him, and now I'm doubly done with him. I'm doubly done. If this was any other West Indies, if this was any other Test side of any seriousness, Hope wouldn't even get the third Test. He'd be done. He will get the third Test, I think, because they are so desperate for him to come good. But at some point, you have to know when to take someone out of the firing line. And I think mentally he's shot. I don't think he knows where his front foot is, back foot is, leg stump, off stump. I think he's done.
Well, I was going to say, is it a mental issue, or has he just got himself in? How much is mental and how much is technical? Because his last few dismissals have suggested that his feet are not anywhere near in the right place, to me.
So if you take the first Test, I looked at where Shea was taking his guard, and he was on leg stump, almost like an ODI, kind of like the Johnny Bairstow thing, leaving his off stump open like it's an ODI innings he's about to play. Then for the first innings in this Test, he was taking an off stump line, which just tells me he's not. I know batsmen can make tweaks in between innings and in between Tests, but that tells me he's not sure of what he's doing, and he's not sure. When you make a major tweak like that, I'm convinced that you're actually not sure of your game.
Yeah.
And that's why. And if you get him tomorrow, David, or not tomorrow, this last day. But the next time we have Toby, what I'd love to hear from Toby, from a batting perspective.
Yeah, what he said today, Matt.
Where Hope's game at?
Yeah, what he said about Shea Hope was that he said two things. One, today he said that he's staying too far back, so he's not getting in a good position for those fuller balls, and we saw him. That was how he was dismissed today. And Toby was explaining earlier